Welcome to Caleb Can't Read. I'm Jordan Rabel.
I'm Caleb Terrence.
So, I'm gonna give a little warning.
Don't.
First off,
Don't.
No. I'm just saying, I'm not gonna say the N-word.
Don't.
I'm not going to.
No, and none of that, like, oh, it's in the context that we are not even dipping our toes in that pool at all.
Because here's the thing, if I were doing something that was like, possibly a black author that was like in the civil rights time or something, where like, Ralph Ellison or something like that. Ralph Ellison, he was like in the shit. Like, if I need to say something in regards to a context of how shitty something might be, maybe there. We're not going to do it here. This is all within the context of a story. I am not going to do it.
Even if, and I don't know who this is, but even if, like, it's going to take away from, like, someone's writing or something that you're quoting, I don't care. Like, just don't.
Well, right, exactly. So when I was printing this off today, I hit Control F, and I go N-I, and I'm like, oh, fuck, it's in 4 places.
Okay, and here's the other thing, like, so I don't know how much of this is in here, like, you just warned me, but, like, so if you're going along and you've got a buzz going, and then you're just reading and you're getting in the rhythm, and then it just hits you, I want you to know that this is all just one take thing we're doing, and you just completely trashed everything else, because it's gone now. Okay?
We'll never do this author again. That's it. You fuck this.
That's it. We're done, Z.
Okay, that's fair.
All right.
You got everything? Your beer good?
I got my beer, I got my coffee, I got my water.
All right, good. All right, so, well then, let's begin, shall we? Mm-hmm. Amasa Coleman Lee was born July 19th, 1880, in Georgiana, Alabama, to his Civil War veteran father, Cater, and his mother, Theodosia. Give you 3 guesses which side his pappy fought on.
Do I need 3 for 2 options? Come on, man.
Georgiana is very south of the state of Alabama, so while Amasa was born in Alabama, his family crossed state lines and raised him on a farm in Florida. That little taint piece of the cock of the state that flows into the south that people tend to forget about. This. Yes, you, being from Georgia, know all the surrounding states.
I'm from Florida, you ass.
Are you?
Yes.
Oh. Meanwhile, Francis Cunningham Finch was born August 14th, 1889 in McKinley, Alabama, to James Cunningham Finch, who was head of a post office, what they apparently call a postmaster, and Ellen Rivers Finch. Now, McKinley, Alabama is what's called an unincorporated community. I don't know anything about unincorporated communities until
I have a guess.
What?
Nothing, go on.
All right. It has nothing to do with what we were talking about before.
Okay, I'm sorry, but I'm primed for that, all right?
You should be. You should be on your fucking toes.
I am.
So I didn't know what this was until I started my research on this. So I'm just going to give a basics real quick. It's essentially a community that rests within other designated territories. Like, basically, if there was a community between Tigard and Beaverton started growing and neither city wanted to take responsibility for it, Bull Mountain is actually an unincorporated community.
Okay.
Yeah. So anyway, that's where Francis Cunningham Finch grew up. Was one of these communities called Finchburg, named after one of her ancestors that first settled there. Now, Frances came from a very well-to-do family and went to a very good school, probably just learning to be a very southern housewife. I'm not really sure. I tried to look in what her alma mater was and didn't really look like they had options for women.
Probably not too. Yeah.
In the early 1900s, Amasa Coleman Lee, who people would just call AC for short, would return to Alabama as a bookkeeper part-time while taking part in other odd jobs. Francis Finch met AC while he was working one of these odd jobs at the Flat Creek Mill Company in Finchburg. They married in 1912, but had their first child, Alice Finch Lee, in 1911, a year earlier. Now, AC Lee only had a few years of schooling under his belt from his younger years, never went to college. But it was while bookkeeping for a pair of lawyers named Barnett and Bugg in 1915 that he realized he wanted to be a lawyer. He got tutored by these guys and actually ended up passing the bar exam. They made him partner at the firm. just pretty fucking cool for a guy that's just, like, essentially there as your secretary, and it's like, fuck, you want to learn law? Shit, we'll teach you law.
What's this man doing here in this position? He's not a woman. Secretary? This is the 1800s.
But his career would have a bit of a rough start. The year after he passed the bar exam, he was appointed to defend a black father-son duo who were accused of robbing and killing a white store owner. AC did what he could to get a fair trial, even pointed out that the dead store owner's son was part of the jury. But even with all his effort, the two men were found guilty and hung in jail. It was the first and last criminal trial that AC would ever do. That same year, on July 2nd, 1916, AC had a second daughter, Frances Louise Lee, at the age of 35. Now, when Frances Louise was young, she wouldn't stop crying. No sleep, just constant crying.
Weird. Can you imagine if babies just did that? It'd be awful. No one would want to have those.
I mean, if it doesn't know how to speak Spanish by the time it's 4, who wants it?
Exactly.
A well-known pediatrician from Selma, Alabama, went 70 miles to get to Finchburg and see what the problem was. Now, I have no idea what the problem was because this story came from Alice, their first child, who was recounting the details of the story, but she only would have been like 5 at the time. Either way, the doc knew what was up. And
Okay, wait, hold on. Guys, what's your shaking schedule? Our shaking schedule? Okay, I have a lot of work to do here.
So your problem here is that you're cradling the child in the cradle. It's not. It's just a. It's
one
it's
shaking
a,
baby, 2 shaking baby, 3 shaking baby, 4 shaking baby.
It's just an odd name for it. It's not. You're not supposed to cradle the child in the cradle. You just kick your foot to the side and you just start fucking going at it. It's a really good leg workout, honestly. It just won't stop crying. I don't get what's up. Either way, the doc knew what was up and gave Frances Louise a serum, which apparently instantly shut her up. It was probably like something with cocaine.
Mercury. It's mercury and cocaine.
Whatever it was, according to the Finches, Dr. William Harper saved Louise's life. About 4 years later, the Finches had a son on October 13th, 1920. I forgot to silence my phone. There we are.
Let's go ahead and do that real quick.
So, they had a son on October 13th, 1920, Edwin Coleman Lee. And still later, they had another kid. In gratitude of Dr. William Harper saving their child's life, they named their youngest child's middle name after him. Her first name, Nell, was just her grandmother's name, Ellen, spelled backwards. So, when A.C. Lee was 46 years old on April 28th, 1946, he had his fourth and final child, and the subject of today's episode, Nelle Harper Lee.
Oh.
Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah? Yeah? What?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Go on.
Okay, well, no, I was just gonna see what you knew. That wasn't an invitation to fight me.
I don't know her fucking biography.
Oh. Because of her father's career in politics, he'd work long hours and basically come home and read the evening newspaper to see what he'd missed while he was in the office. This is not to say he was one of those absentee fathers, though, but remember, AC was very much into his late 40s or early 50s during Nell's childhood. It's not like he was out there building tree houses. I mean, this guy would wear 3-piece suits everywhere he went and would only remove his jacket to either play golf or play with his kids. His wife, Frances, had what was more than likely undiagnosed manic depression. She did not interact with her kids very often, no more than just being present every so often and then just going back to bed. Weird. Sounds like my mom.
We're going there tonight, huh?
Yeah, I'm drinking. I'm going to tell you how I really feel.
Is that why this one's going to be so long? I fucking hope.
And another thing.
All right.
This bitch, no. So, whenever Frances was absent, their black servant Hattie would fill the mother role. And even Nell's siblings were much older than her, so she didn't really spend her afternoons bonding with them. Really, her best friend when she was younger was her next-door neighbor, a boy by the name of Truman Persons, who the kids nicknamed Bulldog. It's not because he was a fugly kid or anything, but...
That's exactly where my mind went, so thank you.
I'm sure he was a very pudgy child. But there was a film character named Bulldog Drummond, who always carried a notepad with him, and Truman did also. Truman was originally from New Orleans, but after his parents' divorce, he moved with his mom back to her hometown of Monroeville, Alabama. It wasn't until 1932 that his mom would marry a man named Jose Garcia Capote, where Truman Persons would legally change his name to Truman Capote.
Okay.
I didn't know anything about that. I thought that was fascinating that they actually knew each other and hung out as kids. Like, that's pretty fucking cool. In 1929, A.C. Lee bought the Monroe Journal, which went on to publish articles about how forward-thinking Monroe County is. If you want proof, look no further than the fact that a white man was charged 15 years for raping a black child. A white man! Huh?
Like, he wouldn't have gotten charged anywhere else.
But that's not all. You see, A.C. was a devout Methodist and was very against lynching. He used the Monroe Journal to call out the fucking cops that would refuse to break up flash lynching mobs like they're fucking supposed to. Which is a little dangerous when you don't have DNA evidence, you don't have fingerprints quite there.
So they weren't supposed to?
No, they're supposed to be.
I mean, they were supposed to, but then they weren't doing.
They weren't, and he was calling them out on it.
Weird.
Mm-hmm.
Weird that they weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing.
It's a good thing
Can
we
you
moved
imagine
away from that now.
Yeah. Can you imagine? That would fucking suck. Like, what a nightmare world we would live in.
God bless the blue eyed. Anyway. Nell graduated from Monroe. I don't know the fucking words, but you get where I'm going.
That's probably good.
It's more than anyone else knows. I said God and bless. Those are at least 2 words in that song.
I mean...
God bless the USA. Yeah, there we are. Yeah.
1, 2, 3. The big 3. God bless and USA. Okay.
Nell graduated from Monroe County High School in 1944, 2 years before it burned to the ground, just as a side note. While she was there, she fell in love with literature thanks to her English teacher, Gladys Watson. You don't have to remember his name. I just wanted to throw a little recognition her way for making history happen. Anyway, Nell followed her eldest sister Alice's footsteps, attending Huntingdon College in Montgomery, Alabama, then the University of Alabama to study law. I know that it's one of those things where nobody wants to hear anybody else's dream because they're not in it and they're not having sex. I just got to throw this out, though.
No, like, most people don't like it. I fucking violently hate it.
I got to say, I had this
Even
dream.
the wind-up makes me want to hit myself in the mouth.
So I had this dream where I was going up against an Alabama University, like, water polo team, and
What the fuck?
Their team name was the Alabama Water Racists.
All right.
I just never want to forget that.
I don't know why you included that, but that
was funny. I woke up giggling.
It didn't like make me chuckle, but I'm smiling. Pretty big.
We're the Alabama Water Racists.
Yes, you are.
By the way, Huntingdon College apparently has this red ghost that walks along the dorms at night, but they have another ghost I like better called Frank the Library Ghost. Can you imagine a racist ghost? It's Frank the Library Ghost. Hey, y'all better get out of here.
I mean, like, the older the ghost, and considering, like, how many people have died, it's way more likely that it's going to be an older ghost that you run into, so he's probably going to be a racist.
You know, that's the thing, though, is that there's always ghosts in the fucking South, it seems like. And it's like, they can't be happy. like, oh, there's a really angry ghost out there. Yeah, he's angry. Look at how history happened. Just like, oh, God damn it.
Dude, yeah. Oh, no. They never go over that on the tours. Oh, and by the way, very racist ghosts here.
Wipe your ass with this Confederate flag and watch Frank the Library Ghost just turn a sneer around the corners. Anyhow, while Nell was starting university, she participated in Rush Week to see which sorority she would join. She went with the one that had a plantation theme, of course. Now, while she was there, Nell started a humor zine called Rammer Jammer with her friends. They did not know that was going to be sexualized.
Of course they didn't. It's still a funny coincidence, okay? Like,
I think you could pick up the Rammer
Jammer. What am I watching tonight? Rammer
today.
Jammers. Okay, 1 through 8. We're gonna go with 6. A classic.
As it would turn out, this ended up being a great outlet for Nell to vent her emotions because she was constantly butting heads with her father, AC. After her first semester, she returned back home, and apparently it was hell on earth. Once she went back to school, AC wrote to her about how the young conservatives of the day don't realize that while we should stop oppressing black people, yes, we shouldn't be giving them handouts either, because that doesn't build character. In response, Nell wrote in the Rammer Jammer about the Democrat Jackassian and their dipshit hillbilly ways. This might be confusing to some people, but yes, for instance, the KKK was started by the Democrats. But there was a thing called a political shift. It happens every so often. It's happened about twice in this country, might be happening again sometime soon, but basically, I think it was Kennedy that basically made that shift where, once he died, he became a martyr, and there were a lot more, like, Republicans saying, this is what Kennedy would have wanted, in the same way that they say, this is what Jesus would have wanted, and they kind of made it their own thing, and so then it basically shifted. Like, while there was one group politicizing something, there was another group that was trying to move away from it. So basically, Democrats and Republicans switched their ideals sometime in the 60s, and then it's just been that way since.
Yeah. And the amount of times I've had to, like, explain that to just retards at various, like, labor jobs that are just like, did you know the KKK were Democrats?
It's like, okay, well, ask them how many of them are registered now.
That's switched up, bud. Okay, that's not that's not how that works. Like,
don't get me started on that vaccine. I tell you, that's just a Democrat
I hear this
hoax.
enough at my fucking job. I don't want to do it anymore.
Oh, and by the way, there was this political rally on campus that Nell went to, and this guy was going on about civil rights belonging to black people just as much as white people. And he gets this death threat from the KKK before he even hits the stage. And he shows this letter to the crowd and says something like, "I'm not afraid because if this was a real threat, these guys would at least sign their names, not try to attack me wearing pajamas." As far as I know, nothing happened to the guy, but I like how fucking ballsy he was to do that. Like, we should all call out the KKK, and some people unfortunately just see that as like a political movement. It's like, no. They're trying to murder people. Like,
especially back then, man.
Yeah, especially then. I mean, her father was the only person
not
out
that
there
they
like.
wouldn't now.
Yeah, but her father was the only person that was like, maybe don't do that. People are just like, what a dick, Now, Nell's sister Alice Lee had graduated and was already practicing law alongside her dad. With Nell well on her way to becoming a lawyer herself, AC was getting ready to start his own law firm, calling it AC Lee and Daughters. It's cute. It's like, Jonathan and Sons.
Yeah. It's a fucking name for a business. Well, why did you stop there?
I thought it was cute.
It's fine.
I just need to accentuate how cute it is.
Okay. All right, man.
Unfortunately for him, Nell was having a lot more fun writing for her school paper and for the Rammer Jammer. With one semester left to get her law degree, Nell dropped out. AC was very distraught. He asked Nell what she was going to do with her life, and like a 22-year-old, because she was one, she said, I don't know, travel Europe, I guess. So AC cut a deal with Nell. She can go fuck around Europe, so long as she agrees to attend summer school at Oxford. Doesn't sound
Damn
like
it!
Doesn't exactly sound like a lose-lose there. She went, but to AC's dismay,
Fine.
She still didn't want to be a lawyer, so he dropped it after that. I mean, there's only so much you could do.
You couldn't offer me all the fucking money in the world to be a goddamn lawyer. Do you understand what that workload entails?
Yeah,
no,
seriously.
No, absolutely not.
Well, I practically have a law degree. I've seen enough Facebook memes to tell me exactly what the cops can and cannot do. Why I'm entitled to not wear a mask. I've seen all of it.
Exactly. Why would you go through like an academic institution when you can just learn everything from image macros?
Yeah.
You don't actually need to know the law.
Those are as good as gold. I print them out and just I binder clip them. That's my law book.
Just catchy little phrases that have a nice ring to them.
And the fact that there's so many minions on them really helps me out. Keeps a smile.
Oh god, I wish those would just die. They're still here. It is 2021. There are still minions.
I think it's actually canon in the Discipline Me.
The what?
the Despicable Me universe.
What the fuck?
It's canon. They don't die, I don't think. Like, they are immortal creatures. Pretty sure. Although I gotta say,
challenge accepted.
I do want there to be a Despicable Me porno now called Discipline Me.
Okay. Okay. Whoa. All right. Now.
This is a
hey. $100. No. $100 idea. I will take a $100 bet with you right now. that if we Google that shit, it already exists. Right here, come on.
That's hard.
Come on.
It's about to be. But no, that's going to be difficult that you type in discipline me. And what do you...
Discipline me, despicable me, rule 34, I bet you will find it.
Fucking might. I'm not going to bet you shit. I know how rule 34 goes.
What about like $20?
No.
What about like 10? Jesus Christ.
I'll give you one of my beers.
You outrageous pussy. I have my own. And if I want one of your beers, I'll just take it. Okay, I don't... You have nothing... I'm giving you... Okay, back on track.
In 1949... At the age of 23,
I'm the bitch. I'm not
Nelle Harper Lee
Okay.
moved to New York City with the help of her good buddy Truman Capote, who already resided there, to start her career as a writer. Like anyone who attempts to be a writer, she just wasn't getting a job as one. Within weeks of Nelle moving to New York City, Francis Lee got the diagnosis for lung cancer, and literally days later, she died. While he was still grieving the loss of his wife, A.C. Lee got a phone call from the military alerting him that Edwin, his only son, and at this point a major and a pilot, had died in his barracks from an aneurysm.
Ooh.
He was feeling incredibly isolated, and his daughter Alice, now his business partner, told him to come live with her. So A.C., knowing that his life at the house he currently resided at was over, tore the old house down piece by piece and concluded his history there forever. Then he went to go live with Alice. That is fucking manly.
Is this cold-hearted? But like, what if you just? I know this is kind of like, I don't know. Like, what if you just sold the house? I don't
think he was hurting for money.
But still, like,
he was very much a guy that like lived by his own means.
I'm just saying.
He was like Ayn Rand's dream, honestly.
This is very poetic and nice and everything, but like, I mean, that's like, you could just sell it to somebody. Maybe you could sell it cheap. That seems like a waste. Like, well, it seems kind of mean. Like,
well, I'll tell you this much: the land that he was living on, that was like their land, essentially. Like Finchburg is, like, they didn't own the town, the unsolicited municipality or whatever the fuck it's called. They didn't, the unincorporated whatever. They didn't own that, but they had a chunk of it that was their land. I'm pretty sure she was living on that land, and so was he. And so, he's not going to sell it and have somebody come live on this land, essentially.
Like, I've seen people get frustrated about, like, being told to, just clean the goddamn kitchen or unload the dishwasher, take the trash out and punch a hole in the drywall. But this is, and I know that it's not the same tier of emotional distraughtness here, but that is the top tier of that.
I mean, I think it's not just poetic, but it seems fucking manly to just just plank by plank, just taking down the fucking house. That's... Damn. I think that's pretty fucking cool.
It's going to take some foresight, too, so you don't just make everything collapse on you. like, you'd really have to... Actually, no, okay, I'm on your team now. That's impressive, because you really have to plan that.
The best thing about it is I get to take a break and eat some of this pink cotton candy on the walls, too.
Like, the first 2 days, he's just, looking at the fucking blueprints and just okay.
Probably was. I fucking hope so. Otherwise, it's just a miracle it didn't collapse on him, like you said.
Yeah.
Like, everyone thinks it's just, this poetic thing, and, but there's, no cameras around, and if there were, he's just fucking, trashing the windows, just...
Just trashing the windows. He just runs into a fucking, one of the big fucking support beams or something, he's just I need something bigger for this, and then just, hopefully he's drunk and just loses his train of thought and goes back to the drywall.
Think I'm just gonna be alone with my thoughts, and the daughters go rush off. He fucking looks, and then he puts fucking Bluetooth speaker Slayer, just just starts raging at the walls. Meanwhile, Nelle became an airline reservation agent, to quote unquote write in her spare time. I know how this goes. It's not happening. She did get some of her short stories published in magazines, and she kept at it for a long time. She did this for about 7 years. As you were?
Fucking I'm not. I haven't even thrusted it into the koozie yet.
Put it right in the koozie.
Clickety-clack.
And there's my snack.
Mm-hmm, nice.
And during her stay in New York, Truman Capote wrote a couple of characters based on Nelle. And I mean, he had been a well-established author at this point. He had already published Other Voices, Other Rooms, and The Grass Harp. And about 2 years from this point in the story, he would go on to publish Breakfast at Tiffany's and become a fucking superstar. And it was through Capote that Nell had become very good friends with a musical composer named, gotta give you a little tension there, Michael Brown, and his wife. Nell would read her short stories to them as a test audience before looking to get them published. And Michael was the perfect audience for them too. She would write about Southern life, and he would get all nostalgic because he grew up in East Texas. When she was tired of doing things solo, Nell started looking for an agent. Michael referred Nell to his own, who was more than willing to help her out. Michael did tell her, though, that while her short stories were fun and everything, a novel would be a lot easier to sell. Problem was, Nell only had time to write short stories because that was all the free time she got from her job. A month later, Michael Brown and his wife called Nell over and handed her a check for a year's worth of wages and a note saying, "You have 1 year off from your job to write whatever you please. Merry Christmas." And of course she objected, but Michael just signed a music deal of some sort and was like, "Dude, it's fine." Like, I can pay a year's wages of a desk clerk. I'll be all right.
The 1800s. Okay. Are we still in the 1800s?
We were never there.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
I thought that we started there. Like late 1800s or something.
Amasa was born in 1880. You are correct.
Ha!
All right.
Ha!
No, this is the 40s, 1940s.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, musicians still got paid then, right?
1949. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, did musicians get paid in 1949? Yeah, they were getting paid. This is when they start getting paid better than anybody else.
Yeah.
They were because they had contracts to go off of now, signing for fucking Disney and musicals and all this other shit. So Nell started writing what would be her first and only book, at the time titled Go Set a Watchman. When she had completed about 100 pages in only a month, her agent shopped around for a publisher and landed on J.B. Lippincott and Company, based out of Philly. An editor there loved it and told Nell to just stop everything else she was doing and solely focus on the novel itself. So she did. She finished her first draft by spring and handed the manuscript over to the publisher, who handed it over to their most trusted editor, Teresa von Hohoff-Torrey, who just went by the name Tay Hohoff professionally. Now, Tay Hohoff was a 59-year-old, chain-smoking, gravel-voiced battle axe of a woman, and one of J.B. Lippincott and Company's finest editors. Once she got the pages for Go Set a Watchman, Tay knew she had a very experienced and very talented writer on her hands, but she also outright rejected everything Nell had written so far. She told her this was more of a series of anecdotes than a fully conceived novel. But with Nell now being a full-time writer, she would work with Tay Hohoff over the course of the next 2 years, completely changing the work altogether. At one point, Nell got so frustrated that she threw the whole manuscript out the window into the snow. These were not the days of having your work saved on a computer, mind you. Besides the already rejected drafts and notes they had kept on file, that was the book.
These tantrums running the family.
Is that Slayer right here?
Well, then I guess I'll just destroy everything!
Nell called Tay Hohoff and told her what she'd done, but Tay told her to march outside immediately and pick up those pages. I guess she needed a mother figure, honestly.
You're not my mom.
You're not my mom! Is that Slayer right here in your room? You better not be burning that book. No, I'll do what I want! It's my tongue, I'll get it pierced if I want to.
Yeah.
My brother had one of those for a little while. As a kid, I was just like, I'm just like, oh, what's that for? Nothing. Like, oh, that's cool, you know.
Oh, man. Okay, well, I don't need to tell you what, me and the other shitheads would tell everybody with the tongue piercing that was for.
What was it for?
Sucking cock, Jordan! We're like, ah! No, it's not. It's because I eat pussy even though I'm 15. And we're like, no, it's not. No, it's not. You're in for a world of hurt, brother. Like, you did not think this through. You meant to surprise us with your edginess, and it is blown up in your face. And I am loving it. It's
like the people that get house tattoos for the first time and they get something edgy, like a fucking upside down cross or something.
Oh my god, dude. The disaster.
How long did that take?
Oh my god, I don't want to talk about
it. Dude, it's fully covered in. It's big.
Oh, my arm, dude?
Yeah. How long did that take?
The cover-up...
Not the cover-up. The cover-up is nice. I'm talking about the actual initial.
The actual initial one was probably just like 40 minutes to an hour.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was just like...
I guess it's just black.
Because somebody threw some 15-year-olds a tattoo gun after a funeral for their friend. And then I'm getting it covered up, and the cover-up took... What the fuck was it? It was like...
It had to have been like 3 hours.
No, dude, because it was all black. And so the shading that had to be done for like... And this is... Fuck, dude, I want to say that thing was like... Let's... Fucking... 2, 4, 6, 8 inches. About 8 inches. 4 of my dick length. 8 inches. like long. And then the cross bit too.
Yeah.
So, and it was all black. And so the artist did an awesome job covering it up with a goat's head.
Yeah.
And with like the grays and everything. That shit took, I think that was like a straight 9 hours.
Fuck.
Like 9 hours solid straight of just fucking sitting there taking it like a bitch, by the way.
Oh, I mean, hey. No complaints here. When I got my tattoo, I only asked him to stop or I'd cry 3 times. I was there for maybe 2 hours.
He just kept rubbing on the numbing lotion like every 20 minutes when I was like wincing more. It was fine. And then across from me was like all the chicks getting like amazing massive back pieces, just not even flinching.
Just asleep in the chair, just...
Not saying anything, not making direct contact, but I know what that smug looks for.
Nell and Tay would essentially work like this. They'd come across an issue one of them had. Then... they would discuss how to resolve that single issue. They wouldn't move on until one side was convinced the other was correct. They wouldn't just like say, okay, let's put this in the parking lot for now and let's go to the next issue. They would just sit there and they'd fucking go over until one of them was right. This could take hours, and sometimes the answer was to create an entirely new solution that wasn't on the table before altogether. To give you an idea on how drastic the changes could be, Go Set a Watchman was originally from the perspective of a 26-year-old woman, but every time the story got to a flashback sequence to when the main character was a little girl, Tay Hohoff would think the story was so much better. She started realizing she was only reading through the grown-up parts so she could get to the next flashback sequence. Because of this, the novel was largely scrapped altogether and restarted from the perspective of a 6-year-old girl instead. The girl's father, Atticus Finch, was largely inspired by Nell's real-life father, A.C. Lee. The family in Go Set a Watchman have the last name Finch after Nell's mother's maiden name, but she gave the name Atticus after Titus Pomponius Atticus, who was an ancient Roman banker, mostly known for just being a good friend of Cicero's. I don't need to tell you that now.
Yeah, no. I mean, was To Kill a Mockingbird required reading in school? Or
it was for me.
Okay, I think it was for me too. I couldn't remember if it was required reading in school or required reading because my parents were lesbians from the South.
To be fair, we grew up in the age when they were like, you better not Spark Notes this. I'm gonna ask you questions that aren't in there, and the teacher's not going on Spark Notes and figuring that shit out. They've had the same handout for 20 years. Yeah, you go on Spark Notes, you read, like, what's the book about? Got it. And then
I don't even know. What is Spark Notes?
Oh, it's a website where you don't have to read the book. They just give you a summary for everything.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great. Oh,
that's how actual kids pass school rather than dropping out.
If I could read, that's what I would do.
I'm sure you could go on to fucking Thug Notes on YouTube or something to have them, like, tell you what it's about, too, honestly.
Thug Notes is literally just like the little speaker sound on-off thing in the corner, and you just click it.
Anyway, Atticus would go on to have all the values of A.C. Lee. He's a lawyer that would go on to defend a black defendant as best he could without letting it be a mock trial. He's always got lessons to teach, and motherfucker always wears a 3-piece suit. At some point, the title of the novel went from Go Set a Watchman to its most well-known character, titling it Atticus. However, Nell stepped in with one last revision. She didn't want the novel to be a product of one singular character, as almost all of the book was inspired by Nell's real-life experiences and just random people she knew, not just the one guy. So she renamed the book after a life lesson the main character is taught by her father. The book's final title would be To Kill a Mockingbird. Are you surprised?
Yeah.
Also, when the book was finally published on July 11th, 1960, it was stated to be written by Harper Lee, omitting Nell's first name altogether. I've heard it said that this was because she figured it would be easier to sell the book if people thought she was a man, like what S.E. Hinton did with The Outsiders. But in reality, it was because she didn't want anybody writing her name as Nellie by mistake.
The Outsiders was written by a woman?
Yeah.
I did not know that.
It was written by like a 17-year-old.
A 17-year-old girl?
Yeah. And if you read
that makes so much sense.
Dude, the book reads like erotic friend fiction. Like the way she describes those boys, guaranteed they were boys in her class. Guarantee you. Like, she knew exactly who Ponyboy was and fucking, you know, all the other ones that nobody remembers.
Yeah,
Derry.
That makes a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay.
But we won't talk about her because she's not dead yet. I only do dead authors.
Only dead? Yeah,
only do dead authors. I actually met S.E. Hinton. It was for the 50th anniversary of The Outsiders, and so I got the book, and she was very dead-eyed. She did.
I mean, I know she's not dead yet, but I figure she's pretty fucking old. But
she's not. I mean, 17, and the book probably came out sometime in like the late 50s or 60s.
She's still fucking old.
Yeah, she's. I mean, now she's probably around 70 or something. But like, honestly, that's not an excuse. I've met older authors than that. But she was just. It was more this thing of like the realization that The Outsiders is like the book, your first book. From when you were the biggest novice to writing and you've tried making a career afterwards and nobody's reading Rumblefish, you know? Like, I mean, but that's the thing. It's a young adult novel and young adults...
Nobody's reading Rumblefish. Caleb chuckled, but he doesn't know what the fuck Rumblefish is.
It's a Francis Ford Coppola movie you could watch instead. It's got fucking... who's that ugly motherfucker? God, he played the main villain in Iron Man 2.
I don't know the dude's name.
The ugly guy, though. Yes. I love him.
Yeah, the haggard one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's haggard as fuck. He's in there.
Pretty gnarly. Yeah.
Now, without further ado, let's delve into the story of To Kill a Mockingbird. The story begins. When we was nearly 13, my brother Jen got his arm badly broken at the elbow. When it healed, and Jem's fears were assuaged.
I don't know if I can do this.
I'm gonna go more southern, hang on.
Don't.
He was seldom self-conscious about his injury.
Actually, yeah, no, you've got the double chin, the stash.
I got the Colonel Sanders.
Yeah, no, absolutely,
The mustache, yeah. His left arm was somewhat shorter than his right. When he stood or walked, the back of his hand was at right angles to his body, his thumb parallel to his thigh. He couldn't have cared less, so long as he could pass or punt. When enough years had gone by to enable us to look back at them, we sometimes discussed the events leading to his accident. I maintain that the Ewells started it all, but Jem, who was 4 years my senior, said it started long before that. He said it began the summer Dill came to us, when Dill first gave us the idea of making Boo Radley come out. The story takes place in the fictional town of Maycomb during the Great Depression in the year 1933. The book follows 6-year-old Jean Louise Finch, who everyone calls Scout. She lives on the banks of the Alabama River near a spot called Finch's Landing, named after an ancestor that was one of the first settlers to the area. She lives with her brother Jeremy, who goes by Jem. Her father, who is a lawyer and quite a bit older than the other kids' dads, Atticus. Interestingly, the mother in To Kill a Mockingbird is dead, and instead their old black cook, Calpurnia, is their maternal figure. And by the way, the kids don't call their dad Dad, they call him by his first name, which I have to assume is some sort of weird southern politeness thing. Jem and Scout's best friend is a neighbor boy about Scout's age.
No, I don't know.
Well, you never were polite.
I mean, no, they do get on your ass, at least when I was there. I don't think that's happened if you're not... I mean, if you were going to call your dad anything other than Dad, it would be like Pop or Sir.
Sir. I assume Sir is a big one.
And it's Sir or Ma'am. Like, period.
I feel like calling them by their first name might be a little disrespectful, honestly.
Yeah.
It seems that way. Like,
I mean, that's pretty universal.
Like, just, yeah, because I remember, like, just saying to my mom, like, all right, Kim. She was like,
yeah, no, dude,
she was like, why'd you do that? And I was like, I'll start calling you Mom when you act like one. Boy, did I get the shit kicked out of me.
Like, I'm 28, and if I called my mom up and was just like, hey, oh, not name dropping. Like, it'd just be like,
hey, Tammy.
I'm pretty sure she would not take that well.
You should give it a shot.
She'd probably smack me if it was amazing.
Hey, where you at? Just want to drop by and give you a hug.
Yeah. That's why she doesn't know where I live.
Jem and Scout's best friend is a neighbor boy about Scout's age by the name of Dill, who's completely based on Truman Capote without question. The kids get bored one day and begin telling the tale of Arthur Boo Radley, a man who lives in a dilapidated house that no one has seen in years. You know, my dad he's a white guy.
From what I remember from this. Anyway, go on.
Yeah, my brother got a black dog and named it Boo after Boo Radley. He had no idea. No idea. That was rough. But you know what? Luckily, he lived in Sweet Home with my grandparents at the time, and that was fucking fine. Yeah, because that's the kind of people they're like, oh, that's funny, and he's like, I didn't take you for a reading, man, you know? It's like,
that's Alabama. 100%. And proceed.
Apparently, when Boo Radley was just a boy, he had some minor run-in with the law. As punishment, his father kept him locked up in the house, and no one has heard anything about him for another 15 years until him and his father got into some kind of altercation, and Boo Radley ended up stabbing his dad with a pair of scissors. Now, the dad did survive, but he wouldn't allow his son Boo Radley to be committed.
I mostly like mustard, biscuits, French fry potatoes.
Dude, I have been trying to get Nicole to watch Sling Blade for so fucking long. She's just like, what's it about? I'm like, it's about a guy with a disability living in the cell. And she's like, I don't want to watch that. I'm like, it's fantastic.
Following in the proud Southern tradition of punishing the mentally handicapped.
It's a great movie. It's the only good movie Billy Bob Thornton's in. Now, when Boo Radley's dad finally died of old age, Boo Radley's brother came to live and take care of him instead. So one day, Dill dares Jem to run up and touch Boo Radley's house, lest he be a coward, so Jem does. Now, not calm and cool or anything, he fucking sprints up to the porch and, slaps it and darts back to the others.
Ditch.
They didn't have electricity for the fucking ding dong.
It doesn't matter. It's the same principle.
Just go up and you fucking knocking. Slap the window. Just
You fucking no. I mean, you didn't run up when you were ding dong ditching and there's no doorbell. Let me improvise. Oh, what's the first thing that pops into my stupid kid head? Knock really loud, then run away. Ha!
You know what was really funny was the last time, or one of the last times I did go visit family down in Sweet Home. We were going past this the one road in Sweet Home that's the main drag, and that's where all the businesses are. And there's the dental office trailer that's right there. And we were driving up just as these 4 kids rang the doorbell and started running away. I rolled down my window. I was like, "Hey, you fucking kids, man!" They just fucking scattered.
Dude, I did the extreme ding dong ditch where you pick a hiding spot in the yard and you hit it repeatedly.
Oh, scaring the shit. Yeah, you do it repeatedly until the owner comes out with a fucking gun because he's scared.
No, this is Portland, Oregon. We're fine.
I would be terrified.
I mean, it's ding dong ditch also. If someone's ding dong ditching your house, you're not going to be like, I bet someone's trying to kill me. You're going to be like some dipshit ass kid.
No, I'm thinking to myself, yeah, isn't this what the Golden State Killer did? Yeah,
Golden State who? Where do we do an episode about this?
So Jem goes up, fucking slaps the house, and runs away, because he ain't no coward. And, of course, nothing actually happens, but Scout does think she sees a window curtain slightly move. September rolls around, and it's Scout's first day of school. Dill only goes to Maycomb during the summer, so he's gone during the school year. Scout's excited until she meets her teacher, Miss Caroline, who's a stupid bitch.
Whoa.
She's upset that Scout already knows how to read, and the teacher gives this poor kid Walter Cunningham a quarter for lunch since he didn't bring one. Tells him he can bring her back a quarter tomorrow, and Scout's like, dude, he can't do that. He's not going to pay you back. He can't. His family pays my dad in turnips, dude. They're poor. And Miss Caroline is like, don't call people poor, and slaps her hand with a ruler.
It's totally in line, dude. When I was in kindergarten in Atlanta, Georgia, there was 2 kids when we were learning how to just write letters that just broke down crying because the teacher would not let them write with their left hand.
Oh, fucking, I hate that shit. They tried to teach that out of certain kids in my school too. It's dude. Why? Like, it's just the dumbest thing. And you know what? They just learn to be slightly ambidextrous and then continue using their left fucking hand. Like, you can't teach it out of them. It's not really a choice.
Just kids, like, breaking down in frustration. Just some old haggard lady who has not done any continuing education to be a teacher.
Clearly.
Standing there with a smug look on her face like, yeah, no, you'll get it one day.
Yeah.
Like...
That's like the whole fucking cursive thing.
Those motherfuckers are gonna go to the grave thinking that they did
were
not
right.
do that thing wrong, and it bothers me, dude. Like,
dude, you know they're taking cursive out of a lot of classes, and a lot of people are just like, I mean, but they're not gonna be able to. And it's like they can read it just fine. It's just pretty English, but it's not used. Who gives a fuck?
It's not necessary.
It's stupid. At this point you're teaching them a font. Like, it doesn't really matter. It's kind of dumb.
It's so unnecessary that if I had to write something out, in theory, if I could read, if I had to write something out right now.
Of course.
Yeah.
You're a literate fuck. Yes.
If I had to write you out in actual fucking sentence or paragraph of literally anything, just copying something down to cursive, I don't think I could. You know why? Because I haven't written anything in cursive since elementary school.
Guess what? It's the same as geometry or trigonometry.
Well,
I don't know it. I did, but I don't anymore because I never used it. Who gives a fuck?
They didn't say one thing about trees in there. They didn't prepare me.
You know, we actually, and I see this come up a lot. People say, why are we bothering learning about this and that when we should have a class on fucking how to do your taxes and how to balance the checkbook? Guess what? Guess what? I did it. We had a school that did it. Okay. I didn't know dick by the time I left because I was just doing it for a grade like everybody else. It didn't prepare us for shit, especially in high school. Teach it as a prerequisite to anything in college, maybe? Sure, I don't know. But, dude, we did not.
Yeah, look it up.
Yeah, sure. But, you know, it didn't fucking... No, dude. It did not help at all.
Why aren't you teaching them how to fill out a W-2 in kindergarten?
It was an easy A, though. I'll tell them that much. Well, Scout feels that it's Walter Cunningham's fault, the poor kid, that she got into trouble. So at recess, she fucking rubs his face in the dirt. Jem sees
Son of a bitch!
Jem sees this and breaks it up like, dude, what the hell? Like, he's poor. Why are you doing that?
Exactly.
This will teach him about trickle-down economics. He invites Walter to lunch as an apology. There, Scout sees Walter douse his food in molasses, and she starts criticizing him over it. Calpurnia, their cook, takes her into the kitchen and fucking slaps her like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, God, save these kids. I may be getting this wrong, but I think this might be when they have a conversation with Atticus about how Walter Cunningham has a rifle and Jem doesn't, and Atticus won't get him one. Anyone they talk about Atticus being a great shot back in the day, and he's like, yep, my daddy let me shoot anything besides mockingbirds, probably because they're the only kind of bird that doesn't hurt nothing. Obviously, I'm paraphrasing a little, but
yeah, I mean,
that's the whole point of books, is that you find one tiny little thing that has no bearing on the rest of it, on the rest of the book. Yeah, you do this. You find a little sentence that has no bearing on the rest of it. Maybe it's got a moral to it or something, and you slap it on as the title. That's how it goes. It's just how you make a book title.
Oh, we said the title?
After lunch, at school, these kids have a long fucking lunch. Go home, cook, make me something.
Goddamn. Yeah. No, is this like... Is it literally just like split in half like a farmer's day where they're like up super early and then they're having their downtime, and they leave in the heat of the day and then coming back or something? Like,
they fucking might. Honestly, I don't know. We didn't get
either
that
or this shit happened action fast. Like
they have those potatoes on the plate. Go, 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 go!
Fucking face in the dirt. Bringing them inside. Get in shape. Slap. Get your ass back in there. Like,
bring the molasses with you.
Go. Half hour.
Here's a Capri Sun full of molasses.
Back to the teacher. She's a cut.
Still a bitch, Miss Caroline. After lunch at school, Miss Caroline screams because a fucking bug crawls out of this one kid's hair. This is Burris Yule.
What the fuck? This is the South. You're worried about a bug? It's a school. You're worried about a bug in a kid's hair?
I'd be more worried about his name being Burris.
No, you wouldn't. Not there.
Your fucking name's Burris?
Yeah, that's common. That's not even the worst.
Oh, God. I fucking hope it is.
No, man. I mean, it gets darker.
God damn, Scooter.
After that, it just gets simpler, more blunt until we get to Joe Bob or Caleb Terrence or Which really is, I mean, it's just longer names, but it's still 2 first names.
This is my father. Now, Burris Yule, he comes from the poorest family in all the realm. And he's like, look, I'm just here for attendance on the first day because it's required by law. I'm leaving after this. Don't worry. You know? And just to prove a point about not giving a shit, he starts berating Miss Caroline until she cries before he leaves. Quote,
wait, sorry. Who?
Burris Yule. This isn't the kid that she rubbed face in the dirt. This is the kid that had a bug crawl out of his hair. And he's like, look, the Yules show up, and then we leave. Don't worry about it.
We show up, we got bugs, we leave.
He tells her, report and be damned to ye. Ain't no snot-nosed slut of a school teacher ever born can make me do nothing. You ain't making me go nowhere, missus. You just remember that. You ain't making me go nowhere.
I love that. I love what happened in my brain right there.
If I hear the word nowhere, it immediately is going to Bonesaw. I fucking hate it, what you've done to me.
In the greatest scene of all time.
You're going nowhere.
It had Bruce Campbell and Macho Man Randy Savage in a Sam Raimi film that was Spider-Man.
Yeah, but, I mean, who else was in that movie? You're just naming the top 2 actors. Was Dennis Leary in it?
The rest of the movie doesn't fucking matter, Jordan. It doesn't. Just that scene.
That movie's only 10 minutes long. I don't get why it made such a box office success.
Not even. I do.
I just watch an uncle get shot, I laugh, and then I leave, you know?
Like the rice. Shit, I spilled the water. Alright, go on.
After this, the story skips ahead a bit towards the end of the school year. Scout's passing by Boo Radley's place when she sees something shiny sticking out of a knot hole on a tree at the edge of his property. She goes and checks it out and finds it's 2 pieces of wrapped chewing gum.
Oh yeah, it's got goodies in there, right?
Yeah. Obviously, I think it's meant for both Scout and Jem, but she just sticks both pieces in her mouth anyway, because, I mean, she's fucking 6. When she gets home, Jem is like, where did you get that? She's like, found it in Boo Radley's tree. Jem's like, spit it out! Like, because they think this guy's cursed, you know? Then on the last day of school, Jem and Scout are walking home together, and again, there's something shiny there. This time, it's 2 Indian head pennies, and Jem's like, alright, this is a pretty cool tree. So once summer hits, Dill is back in Maycomb, so there's 3 kids start playing around again. They played the old Southern classic of Roll Me in a Fucking Tire, where, you know, you get in a fucking tire and get pushed down a goddamn hill.
Is that only a Southern classic? Get the fuck out of here, Southern classic. Everybody does that shit, right?
We had enough money to at least, you know, throw rocks at trains, because trains would pass by.
Well, no, this is because Portland, there's hella trains.
Mm-hmm.
You know, no. It was tire and hill, hit each other with stick, and...
we had stick.
Oh, man. I think the hit each other with stick caused enough TBD for me, or TBI for me to not...
THC, yeah.
Something like that. For me to not remember the rest of them, but...
TBD, to be determined.
To be
determined on the rest of our
brain
games.
Injury. Or the classic throw the rock at the bee and don't tell anyone.
Yeah, we had a game kind of like that, except the bee was poor kids. Anyway.
Motherfucker.
Oh shit, now I recognize you.
No, you don't, you fat bitch.
Oh yeah. So it's Scout's turn of getting in the fucking tire. Tire goes a little off its intended trajectory. She smacks into something, and when she gets out, Jem and Dill are fucking shouting at her like, get out there, come on! And Scout sees that the tire stopped at the front steps of Boo Radley's house. So it goes without saying, but she gets out of there alive. But the experience gives the kids a new game to called Boo Radley.
How close can you get to Boo Radley's house while rolling in a tire?
Where they pretend to be a fucked up family and basically Texas Chainsaw Massacre their way around the front yard. Like, I'm gonna stab you with scissors, you're my daddy, you know, shit like that.
Yeah, kid shit.
Yeah. Atticus catches wind of this and puts a stop to it pretty fucking quick, though. One day, the kids hear from a neighbor that Boo Radley was cool when he was a kid. But his dad was a nutter, so that's probably why Boo went and stabbed him. Then the kids are like, he's just misunderstood. So they write a letter to Boo Radley asking him out to ice cream, and they try to get the note through his window with a fucking fishing pole.
Don't they end up like putting him in the tree or something?
No, they're just like out there with a fishing line, like not trying to get too close unless his claws come out and fucking eat them or something. They're like they're like fishing string like a letter like, you want to get ice cream? And Atticus catches them and he's just like, fucking Jesus Christ, stop. Like, leave the fucking kite alone, please. Alright, so they
I don't understand how you can simultaneously be so fucking scared and yet be fucking with so much.
Like, you're not even damaging property, you're just being a dick. Stop. Just leave him alone.
If I look outside my window and some fucking kids were just like...
I mean, I would look at the note and be like, oh, that's cute. And then I'd just be like, blah, with like a pair of scissors and just have them scatter, Just,
I'm not
leave me the fuck alone.
I'm not very nice to kids. I always try to come up to my dog and I'll just tell them, and I'll be like, oh, hang on. And they'll be like, what?
Oh, dude, I didn't tell you about this. I was out there walking Buster. So she's in her little harness and she's got a muzzle on in case we round a corner and there's a fucking dog there that,
Okay, your dog actually sucks. Mine's an angel.
Yes, but I know this. Buster's great with people. She just hates other dogs. So I see another dog across the street, and basically I'm like walking behind a truck. So I stop for a moment. Buster's trying to like fucking like weasel her way around to try and look at the other dog. She knows it's there. And this little girl walking her dog comes jolting over with her dog like, oh, they just want to be friends. And Buster...
Is this pre-2020? Because that just adds
This
icing.
was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, she comes over with her big dog, and Buster is surprised. The dog comes around the fucking truck. Buster, being a rat terrier and used to slipping in and out of any hole, just goes through a harness. She just goes, oh, it's action time, and she just sucks through the fucking harness.
You know what, man? I'd advise you to pick up your dog, but it looks like socks have been rough for you every morning, so I don't know. I understand your reaction.
I do work out. I tie my shoes.
She's a rat terrier, man.
She's very fast. No, seriously, she slipped out, and if the muzzle was not there, she was trying actively to kill this dog. Like, she was like, rah, rah, like really going at it, and the dog doesn't know what to do. He's just like, he looks confused. He's like, I want to leave, and the little girl is like frozen solid, so the dog can't leave. And I'm just running around both of them trying to pick Buster up, and I've got like my fucking headphones in. All I hear is like, I'm sorry. I'm like, it's fine, and just like picking Buster up and like throwing her over my shoulder. She's still trying to like wiggle out, and I'm like, no. Like, I have to walk the rest of the way home with her like that. Don't do that. If you see a muzzle on a dog, do not approach.
Okay, cool. Cool, I'll tell every 8-year-old I know.
You fucking should!
No, dude, okay, well, my dog, the Great Pyrenees, is an angel. But in order for everybody to stay the fuck away from him, because, I mean, one, even without the pandemic, why don't you just leave me the fuck alone?
Because I like dogs.
No, it'll always be, it's always playing it off as, no, I'm sorry, he's actually very aggressive, and he'll just be sitting there very calmly, very happily, kind of nudging forward, wanting to get attention. I'll be like, no, trust me, don't fall for his shit. No,
he's a real asshole.
No, he'll bite the fuck out of you. I swear to God. You better stay at least 6 feet back as we come past.
I really hope that you do not come across anybody that knows where the Great Pyrenees is, because they're just going to be like, he's an oaf. Like,
It's Tiger Oregon we're talking about here. Like, come on.
Yeah. If it's not a fucking Boston Terrier or Westie,
the dumpster of Portland suburbs.
It is. All right. So the kids go back to tormenting Boo Radley for the rest of the summer. But on the last day before Dill has to go back home, he convinces the other kids that they've got to see what Boo Radley looks like. So they wait until dark, and they start sneaking around to every window to peek inside. And all of a sudden, they see a fucking dark figure just standing there, obviously watching these 3 fucking kids just being dipshits in his yard. They dart to the nearest fence, which has a hole on the bottom side so they can slip through. Dill and Scout get through, but Jem's pants get caught. He's got that big, thick ass, that farmer donk. A fucking shotgun goes off, so Jem just takes off his pants and just runs out of there.
I know what you've been putting in the search bar.
On the first day of school the next day, Jem and Scout are walking home. Oh, I'm sorry. When the kids come back home, all the adults are at the Finch's place like, did you hear? Boo Radley said he shot at some Negro on his property. And Atticus is...
You're bending it.
I know.
You're bending it. I don't like it.
I don't like it either. It's the South in 1933.
You're not gonna. No. You're not quoting it right now.
I am.
Are you? You're quoting it like word for word, or are you still summarizing?
No, this is a quote.
Okay, all right, go on. I guess.
Okay, all right. And Atticus is just like, Jem, where the fuck are your pants? And Dill, being quick to come up with an excuse, says, I want them in strip poker. Which is exactly what you want to hear your fucking, 10-year-old and 6-year-old children saying. Oh yeah, bought his thick little pants off of him. And Atticus just doesn't ask any more questions after that. Later that night...
He's just like, God damn it, I don't have the energy for this.
He's just like, I wish we had...
You know what? Yeah, you did. I'm going to bed.
Later that night, Jem goes back to get his fucking pants back, but when Jem goes to get them, he finds that his pants are folded up over the top of the fence, and the tear he got in them from when he dove under the fence is mended. On the first day of school the next day, Jem and Scout are walking home, and they see a ball of twine in the knothole of the tree from Boo Radley's yard, kind of clearly teasing them, since it was Boo that obviously mended Jem's pants. And throughout the next few weeks, there are more gifts in the knothole. A couple of figurines carved out of soap that look like Jem and Scout, some more chewing gum, a medal from a spelling bee, and an old pocket watch. He's like a fucking crow. One day, though, they find that the knothole has been covered up with cement. The next day, Jem sees Boo Radley's brother, the guy that takes care of him, and asks him why there's cement in his tree. The guy tells Jem it's because the tree is dying, so that's that. He just clearly doesn't want his brother.
Do not fucking get me started on cement and trees. Go on.
Is that what? Is that a thing?
Dude, Are you sure you want me to do this?
Look, don't go stupidly into context, but why?
Okay, so they used to put these, obviously they used to think it would help the structural integrity of trees that would have big cavities in them.
Okay,
sure you want me to keep going?
No, I can see that.
And so
but
it's actually
I can think of 3 reasons why that wouldn't work.
Depending on the area, it's actually a huge infrastructure problem now, because obviously that doesn't work. It kills things faster. When did they do that? And that's not how leverage works. So of course it breaks the concrete. Whereas trees are living things that respond to their movement and then heal and become stronger. And then you just put something solid in there. That's not even how they build
I also see the tree dying. I also see the tree dying. It the concrete pillar not actually being fastened to the earth, creating a weight where it's going to crack, and it's just a giant thing of cement that comes crashing down.
So not only does it make trees die quicker, and not only is it something that people still do when they're misinformed now, but what ends up happening is we'll be running our chainsaw through the fucking tree when it is dying. We'll have no idea because that outer layer has formed over it, and then our chainsaw, when we're going through the middle of a back cut that makes it not hit a fucking house, hits concrete.
So what are you actually supposed to do in those scenarios? You just push the tree over?
Hopefully notice it in time to make them sign some kind of release liability. Because there's not a whole lot.
I mean, what do you just push the tree over essentially? I mean, because you don't.
Over.
Because you don't know where the break in the concrete is unless you're out there with a sledgehammer.
It's gonna be. In that scenario, it's covered up and you weren't able to see it, right?
Right.
But the good thing about climbing now is, God, dude, I wish I'd go. Sorry. The good thing about climbing now is that obviously anywhere they're going to be pouring concrete is going to be on the ground. So if it's suspect, then you can send somebody up to the top and you can control it and you can get everything down, right? If it's in an area where you know a lot of that's happening.
That's what I mean, though. How do you get it down? Piece by piece or something? I mean, in a normal tree situation, you would take it piece by piece, but...
In my experience, you would just tell them, hey, concrete starts here, sorry, you got to pull.
Okay, so you do essentially just push it over.
No, you just be like, sorry, there's a pole here now. And then if they really pushed and really wanted to pay for it, you just get a carbide chain, which can cut through it. Or
damn.
I don't know if carbide would. Anyway, go on, please.
All right, well, one night the Finch's neighbor's house catches on fire. They all run outside as practically the whole town shows up to help. At the end of it all, all this chaos and everything, Atticus is like, Scout, why'd you bring your blanket outside? And she's like, I didn't. He's like, well, then what's that on your fucking shoulders? And Scout's like, this isn't my blanket. And Jem's just fucking losing his shit. He's like, oh shit, man, it was Boo Radley, dude. oh, he was fucking there, man. Like, just freaking out. And Jem just, like, breaks down and tells Atticus about everything. And Atticus is like, you guys have got to keep this shit to yourselves. Like, Scout thinks about how close she was to Boo Radley without her noticing and almost throws up. Like, they really think this guy is just like a mythological creature. Just like...
And it's contagious. By the way.
Scout almost fights a kid at school because out of the blue, this kid calls Atticus a ninja lover.
Okay, I told you specifically
That's the closest that
we're not replacing it with that. We're not.
All right.
I don't care if you say N-word. I don't care if you say nyeh.
No, not going to go that far.
Okay.
But, yes, he is a N lover. Scout doesn't really understand why it's a bad thing, but this kid is saying it like it is an insult. So she wants to kick his shit anyway. Kid tells Scout that his daddy says that Scout's daddy defends... Scout goes home and asks Atticus what he's talking about, and Atticus tells her. There's a black man named Tom Robinson. He has to defend in court, accused of raping a white woman. He doesn't think he'll win, but he has to try. It's his duty to try. When Christmas rolls around, the Finches go to Finch's Landing.
Look, I don't like it, but I have to.
Literally my job. So they go out to Finch's Landing.
That's not a good explanation at all.
Look, if it was my choice... Well, remember, though, this character is very clearly based off of A.C. Lee, her dad. And he himself was just kind of like... That was his only criminal defense trial, and he lost, and he didn't like it, and so he never did it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she, at this point... Not her dad's biggest fan because she's like writing from like fresh out of college and everything, and they were big enemies.
Well, it just gets worse from there.
Yeah. So when Christmas rolls around, the Finches go to Finch's Landing, a piece of land where the ancestral Finch home lays. Atticus's brother Jack is there, and Atticus's sister Alexandra, who lives there with her husband. Also there is Alexandra's shithead grandson Francis. Never known a good Francis in my life. I don't think there is one.
Yeah, no.
One night, Francis, being the pinnacle of love that he is, calls Atticus a lover to Scout when they're alone. Scout beats the ever-loving shit out of Francis.
Nice.
And here's the thing. She doesn't know why it's wrong to do so, but that's still the correct response.
It's just a feeling. The spirit took her.
You just see her do the fucking Michael Madsen dance from like Reservoir Dogs, just like, ooh, I'm about to kick the shit out of you,
I don't know
Francis.
why, this just feels right. You know, I don't understand what you're saying, but I don't like your tone, and I'm bigger than you. Also, we're children, so hitting each other doesn't really matter.
I just rubbed a kid's face in the dirt for being poor last week, dude. You think I'm afraid of this? Like... So Scout beats the shit out of Francis, and Uncle Jack and Aunt Alexandra have to come to his rescue. Without finding out what's really going on, Uncle Jack just spanks Scout. But when they're alone, Scout tells Jack what really happened, but she makes Jack promise not to tell Atticus, because he'd be mad she got into a fight. Please.
1, 2, 3, and... Alright. Oh, dear. Alright.
What? I always drink a bottle like that, just seeing how deep I can get it.
Oh, brother, I'm not even paying attention to you right now. I'm just getting real slippy.
There's an odd story just kind of clumped into this book that doesn't really add much, but it does kind of show you who Atticus is by the end of it, so I'm just going to tell it anyway. It's my favorite part of it, too. So one day, Jem and Scout are out playing, and you see a dog down the street just acting strangely.
Oh, yeah. This is the good bit. I remember this.
It's doing the Caleb stagger, you know?
No. That's rabies stagger is way too quick for drunk stagger. Fuck you.
So they go let Atticus know, like, hey, Atticus, there's a dog down the street, and his mouth is foaming, and he's swaying from side to side.
And he's like, clickety-clack, time for some man shit. And I love this shit.
He's staggering around, and Atticus is like, oh, fuck, stay here. So Atticus calls up the sheriff, who comes over with a rifle, and they see the dog down the street, and they're like, oh, man, I know that dog. That's Tim Johnson. The dog's fucking name is Tim Johnson. I love it.
Like that shit.
Yeah, like I was like, do they mean Tim Johnson's dog? And it's like, no, that's the dog Tim Johnson. I love that name.
No, I don't remember that because I don't think they say that in the fucking movie. And I don't remember this part from the book that much. Yeah, they don't say it in the movie. The reason I remember it from the movie, though, is because he's actually moving, like, I think that was actually a rabid dog.
No, dude, they had fucking pieces of sausage from, like, one side of the street
to
the other.
Fucking way. You asshole.
He's an acting dog. Yes, they shot that dog on camera. That dog's dead for sure.
Dude,
no,
I'm just saying. No, I remember because like I was in Georgia, so like they were like, "Hey, watch this scene. That's what a rabid dog looks like, because that's a problem here, child." Same thing as Florida when you're in fucking preschool, and they're like, "Remember, if an alligator jumps over a fence and chases you, zigzag."
Yeah, like, our whole thing here was like, don't feed the fucking raccoons. Like.
That's all you had to do. They're not gonna jump out and chase you. Y'all had it easy.
No, because we're not out at night, you know?
Like, it's always night here. What the fuck are you talking about? It sucks.
So the sheriff hands Atticus the rifle like, you do it. It's my dog, Tim Johnson, I'll do it. Atticus takes aim and just fucking 360 no-scopes the dog, like one shot.
I like that so much better.
He's just like, kids, check this out. He like runs up and like does a little like knife.
Like, no, throws the knife.
The kids are like, holy shit, dude. But a neighbor's watching all this go down and tells the kids, you know, your daddy was the best shot in the county when he was young. People called him one-shot Finch. And Scout's just fucking ecstatic.
Is it because he hit everything in one shot?
It's because, you know what, I'm not going to go there. Yes. Let's say that.
Oh, did I make, okay.
I was going to go for a masturbation joke, but we don't need to go there.
I don't know, I feel like that would have been a deep reach, deep stretch. But,
like, go better believe it.
Shut the fuck up.
That's why they call me One-Stroke Jordan. Scout can't wait to brag about this, but Jem's like, look, if Atticus wanted us to know about this, he would have said it, so don't tell anybody. Anyway, one day, Jem and Scout are out walking around town when some old bitch by the name of Miss Dubois starts yelling at the kids from a porch.
Would
saying,
she be anything else with that name?
An old bitch? And she's saying, what else? That Atticus is no better than the
there we are,
and trash he works for. And of course, Jem snaps, rushes up to the ladies' yard, and just fucking goes ape on her camellias.
Oh yeah, doesn't he fucking like, doesn't he bust out, oh no, isn't that the bit where Scout has a baton that she fucking digs, right? And then he like jacks that shit out of her hands, and then goes about like busting up this lady's shit.
Maybe that's in the movie.
I thought that was in the book where he gets her baton, she's fucking crying, Jim doesn't give a shit, he's fucking just wrecking this old lady's shit, breaks her baton. I thought that was the whole thing.
I can't remember if there's a baton involved.
Yeah.
I like to imagine though that she's a little.
You thought he just did it with his bare hands? Like,
yeah.
No.
I've gone to ape on a tree before.
No, I swear that's the bit. Unless it's like further on that there's like a baton. That was the whole.
Maybe. I think what happened was that she's got one of those like fucking nightsticks, and he just
has some kind of stick.
Yeah, and he just fucking like whipped it out and started.
No. With the outline you've given of Scout.
Yeah,
that's in line.
Jim, grab the tear gas.
In this butchering of To Kill a Mockingbird that you are presenting us with tonight.
Of course, after he goes apeshit on her garden, word gets back to Atticus, who's just pissed as hell at Jem. So as punishment, Jem has to go to Mrs. Dubois' house every day for a month and read to her. And the whole time he's there, she's just the biggest piece of shit to him. She's just roasting Jem about anything and everything. Just fucking, and your ass is too big. You smell like dirt, boy. About a month after Jem's sentence is up, Mrs. Dubois dies, and a single white camellia is delivered to Jem. I'm gonna pee on it. Atticus reveals to him that she was a dying morphine addict, and all his days of reading to her kept her from using.
Oh man, if I would have known she was an opiate addict, I would have thought she wasn't a... Well, never mind.
I would have stolen her shit.
I don't know.
What are you gonna do, you old crank addict? With Atticus...
Go ahead. Run across your lawn. Fucking stop me, bitch.
Just reminds me of that one... There's that one scene in Breaking Bad where they need to get inside of a meth head's house but they can't, like, break and enter because they might have guns. And Jesse just starts digging a hole in the yard. And the, like, meth head comes out and he's like, what are you doing? And he's like, you know what I'm doing, man. And he's like, give me the shovel. And he just starts... Did
you?
I fucking love that show.
I mean, I haven't watched that, but did you just steal a joke from Breaking Bad?
Wait, no. I have you not seen Breaking Bad?
No, man.
Oh, dude. Oh, man.
It's not for me.
It absolutely is.
I don't know. I just
it is.
I just didn't get it. I was just like, eh.
Oh, fuck, dude.
I was like, it's fine. Like,
it's not. Oh, we're gonna... I found out that my boss didn't watch Breaking Bad, but she was, like, going through the motions to watch fucking Game of Thrones and shit. I made her a presentation and, like, sent it to her. I sent her a fucking, slideshow of, like, reasons that you should be watching Breaking Bad.
I mean, really what it just comes down to is anybody that's, you know, like, and I can attest to this, you know, Game of Thrones, great. Breaking Bad, not enough penis. Not enough penis on screen to hold my attention, Jordan.
The uncle kind of looks like a big cock.
I wouldn't know. I haven't watched it.
Oh, we're going to find out.
All right.
He's bald and he cries. Making the bald man cry is certainly...
Shut the fuck up.
With Atticus busy with work during the summer, and Dill sending a letter saying he won't be returning to Maycomb this year because his mom remarried and he's moving, Calpurnia, the Finch's housekeeper, decides to kick the kids' boredom by bringing them to a black church. And there's only, like, one lady that bitches about it, but ultimately everyone is thrilled to have the kids of Atticus, white defender of Tom Robinson, the only white man to give them a chance, attending their services. The congregation only has enough money for one book of hymns, but even then, Calpurnia's son just stands up at the front and leads everyone in song. Even though the church is too poor to afford more than one book, they still raise money for Tom Robinson's wife, Helen, who can't find work because no one will hire the wife of an accused rapist. The kids do learn something new, though. Remember that dirty kid from...
It extends to his wife. That sucks.
That sucks, but... shit.
Like, I assure you his wife had nothing to... God damn it. Alright, cool.
Well, honestly, they probably weren't going to hire her because she's black, and they're just like, oh, yeah, I can't hire you because your husband's a rapist. Like, yeah, that's it. You know, it has nothing to do with you being black or a woman, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I'm sure there were very... Oh, God.
They had two reasons, and none of them were good. Well,
reasonable? Yes, they had reasons. Were they correct? No.
Is that your reason or an excuse? Remember that dirty kid from Scout's first day of school who had the fucking bugs coming out of his head?
Hell yeah, I do.
Burris Ewell. Yep. Turns out it's his sister Mayella that Tom Robinson supposedly raped, and it's his dad, Bob Ewell, who filed the report. The kids come home and...
good, they'll be reasonable.
Yes! Everyone... It's like, okay, these people know each other.
I remember.
They're gonna help.
If I'm remembering this correctly, it's all gonna level out.
Yeah. Okay, happy endings all around. Those are the kind of books I love to read, are ones with happy endings.
Good, I'm gonna be really bummed out if that doesn't happen. Go on.
If I don't get my justice... The kids come home and Aunt Alexandra is there at their house. You see, Scout is becoming a fine young lady, and Aunt Alexandra feels that Scout needs a female presence around here. Well, one day, Scout asks Atticus what a rape is. Well, Aunt Alexandra is in the room. She's like, where the hell did you learn that? Scout's like, we learned it when Calpurnia took us to Black Church. Alexandra freaks the fuck out, of course, tells Atticus that Calpurnia...
I learned rape from Black Church.
And Alexandra is like, Calpurnia had got to go. And Atticus is just like, no. like you don't live here, fuck you. Like,
Atticus being the alpha that he is.
If I have to tear this whole goddamn house down, plank by plank, shingle by shingle,
okay, cool. I'm adding in an additional word. There will be no N-word, and now he is Chaticus.
I'm about to call him Chapicus when I get him in.
Chadicus.
No, Chapicus.
Chaticus?
Chapicus. I'm about to get him in those skinny pants.
Say that. Okay, that's going to be a separate series where you write weird erotic fan fiction about dead authors.
It's just about Gregory Peck. He does look fucking good in that movie.
What? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he does. Yes, he does. All right, so later that night, Scout hears something from under her bed, and she calls for Jem. help, the monsters are gonna rape me. No.
Whoa.
She just learned a new word.
Stop laughing at your own fucking jokes.
I'm funny, I can't help it. They find Dill hiding under her bed. According to Dill, his parents are all recently married and not paying attention to him, so he ran away. He's like, don't tell anyone, and Jem's like, Atticus! So Atticus goes over to Dill's aunt's house next door to let her know what's going on. So Dill's just hanging out with the Finch family until they get word to send his ass back. A week goes by, and he's still with them, and Sheriff Tate shows up at the house. Lets Atticus know that with the trial nearing, they'll be transferring Tom Robinson to the Maycomb jail, but they're afraid a lynch mob will kill him before the trial begins. So next night, Atticus goes into town, and the kids know he's headed to the jail to watch over things, so the kids sneak out. There at the jail, Dill, Jem, and Scout see Atticus reading a newspaper under a streetlight. All of a sudden, 4 cars show up. I cannot imagine reading under a streetlight at night in the South. The bugs have to be the size of fucking birds.
You know, you need to check your privilege, man, because right now you're talking about imagining reading, which I can't. Okay? And I don't appreciate it.
There I was, white, and reading anywhere I damn please.
Fuck you.
So 4 cars show up. Dudes come up to Atticus and tell him to, move aside. He says no. And Scouts comes bumbling fucking out because she recognizes the dad that pays Atticus in turnips for his legal troubles. Dill and Jem come running out after her, but she's like, howdy, Mr. Cunningham, tell Walter I said hi. And this pretty much just fizzles out the lynch mob's entire attitude. Mr. Cunningham's just like, you too, and then they fucking leave.
I can't remember that bit.
Yeah, he just you two's it, and then they just fucking leave.
Okay.
Honestly, I'm a little surprised that they weren't like, oh, good, you brought your kids, Atticus. My first lynching. It's a rite of passage. Jeez. Then the owner of the local...
The scariest thing about all this shit is understanding that so much of it is just written from experience.
Mm-hmm.
This is absolutely... Yeah. I mean, the thing about...
I don't think...
The thing about that fucking book is that it's the epitome of the, write what you know.
Yeah, basically.
So
I mean, to be fair, this is all... the characters themselves are for sure based off of people that she knew growing up. I mean, obviously, A.C. Lee is, her own fucking dad. Jem is her actual brother. Dill is Truman Capote and everything. But I don't think that she's ever witnessed a lynching. However... One thing
I will say for, a lot of the situations that pop up and how they're written in the book is I remember them.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, there's got to be, a different, better, non-stupid way to say this. A lot of situations. No. In most fiction, you can tell that it's staged and has some kind of structure,
mm-hmm.
and her shit really seems like she's just bending reality and happenstance and kind of luck and experiences that she's had.
We'll get to this eventually because
okay.
I have not researched Harriet.
That's not that bad.
No.
Okay,
I understand what you're saying.
All right.
I haven't done the research into Harriet Beecher Stowe, who was originally going to be part of this first season and everything else.
Because the way she writes it doesn't sound like fiction. It sounds like she's telling me some shit that happened to her.
Yes, absolutely. But here's what I'm saying. Harriet Beecher Stowe, Uncle Tom's Cabin is what she wrote. Now the thing is that... Oh, dude, it's... Okay.
Is it what I think?
It's actually not bad.
Oh,
so here's the thing. The quick and dirty historical context of Uncle Tom's Cabin is basically it was using essentially the main character, Uncle Tom, and his cabin as kind of a Jesus figure where he was playing intermediary between the slaves and the white plantation owners. Basically, he was calming down the white people and helping the black people, get out. But... The book came out as basically a play 100 years later in the 60s. Here's the thing. Uncle Tom's Cabin, without that, the Civil War would have probably happened much, much later. That book helped kickstart the Civil War, which is crazy. That book started a fucking war. But yeah, dude, for real.
We're doing this later? All right.
We will do this later, because you're going to forget.
Same rules apply.
Yeah, But basically 100 years later, during the civil rights movement and everything, they, somebody out there made Uncle Tom's Cabin where he was basically saying Uncle Tom wasn't harsh enough. And so they basically, Aunt Jemima, like, the whole thing, where he's just like, I'm Uncle Tom, hey thou massa, and, like, basically went, like, but it was a huge satirical thing, where it was like, Uncle Tom is Uncle Ruckus, and he did not do enough to help out the slaves. Yeah. But the thing about that actual book, when you read it, Uncle Tom's a great guy, but here's the thing, you can tell from the writing at the time which stories are fake and which ones 100% happened, because they go very quickly from something that's kind of like, oh, and then he's helping the kids run off, and he says, oh, I don't know, sir, I think I saw a rabbit go down that way, you know, it's a little goofy and shit, and then she'll, like, the mood drops, and he'll be like, they stayed in that attic for 2 years and had to eat the remains of rats and shit. Like, you know, like it was 100. Like, you could tell the shit that 100% happened versus the things that didn't. But I think it is in this context of what you're talking about. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of this is fiction, but they for sure happened. It's too generalized to say it's specifically things that she saw. It feels too natural. But it is for sure things that happened. I mean, fucking, you can go on YouTube and see lynchings happen from back in the day. Oh, yeah.
Lynchings were back in the day, yeah. No,
they were back in the day, but they weren't that long ago.
They still happen, man.
Yeah, I can't remember what famous actor it was, but there is a photograph, because basically what they would do back then is, as they're doing lynchings, they would photograph and then make copies and basically make postcards for the town. And say, like, here's Monroeville, get your commemorative lynching card here. Well, in one of those, there is a very famous actor as a little boy seeing it. And I can't remember who it fucking was. And that's what kills me. He's an old-time actor, though. Like, he's dead now. That man was Billy Bob Thornton. No. What? But anyways. So all the men drive off, you know, just got awkwarded the situation the fuck out of there. Then the owner of the local newspaper leans out of the second-story window of the jailhouse with a fucking shotgun. Like, how'd you cover the whole time, Mr. Finch? And the kids
with
are just
shotgun?
Like, yeah.
Did you?
I'm not saying he's aiming it at him, just like, what was that? You know?
Had you covered as long as it was in 30 yards, and then it's iffy.
And the kids are just like, holy shit, what have we done? Like, and then Atticus just takes the kids back home. So the next day is the trial, and Atticus forbids the kids from attending the trial. However, people from all around the county are there, so they have no real trouble sneaking inside. The reverend from the black church sees them and lets them sit up in the balcony where the black people have to sit. So first up is the sheriff. According to him, Bob Ewell called him up to his house, where he sees Bob Ewell's daughter, Mayella, all beaten upon the right side of her face. She says Tom Robinson raped her. While the sheriff was there...
He's like, last night? Damn.
While the sheriff was there, no doctor was called to the Ewell residence. Next up is Bob Ewell himself.
Oh, wait, yeah, no, I remember how this went. Go on.
I remember the movie. Next up is Bob Ewell himself, who says he heard his daughter yelling when he was going up to the house, looked in, saw Tom Robinson raping Mayella. He ran in, Tom ran out, and Bob called up the sheriff. When asked why he didn't call a doctor, he said, no need, too expensive. Atticus asks Bob to write his name down on a piece of paper. Atticus points out that Bob is left-handed, more likely to leave bruises on the right side of a person's face. So now Mayella testifies. She's 19 and clean by at least the Ewell family standards go. Just has scabies. Nothing, no other bugs though.
Chiggers. Sure. Chiggers like a motherfucker.
Chiggers?
Chiggers, yeah.
What are those?
Really?
Yeah.
They're kind of like, damn, dude, this is, I'm digging deep back into the recesses of my childhood. They're bugs that apparently, and this is told to me by the same people who told me fajitas were animals.
Oh, yeah. They kill them especially for your meal.
I don't want to talk about that. Okay. I don't. But, fuck. No, chiggers, they're in, if you run through enough brush, you can get chiggers on you, and they will kind of get into your skin the same way scabies will, but they're not as
Sounds infectious. Like ticks.
No, they're not ticks. They're like smaller. You can't see them. They're chiggers.
Yeah. They gotta get called something else.
We're Googling this right now. They might have explained something very fucked up to me, and not let me in on the joke. Oh, yeah, no. Berry bugs.
Berry bugs?
Family of mites. Chiggers are often confused with jiggers. Guys.
They just really have a thing about the double D down there, don't they?
Yeah, dude. So I get a type of flea, and they can get in your skin, but it's not as bad as scabies. You can just get rid of them with like hot water and soap, apparently.
God, it sounds terrifying.
They can get your garments and shit like that too. And I just remember like being,
Oh yeah, they're a bug. They're a physical entity, of course.
Or just being in like, just random outings and parks and stuff, and being around trees in the springtime, and they'd be like, careful, don't touch that. Chiggers, and you're like, what? And they're like, chiggers. You're like, dude.
Don't call them that anymore.
Whoa, Jordan, no.
I like berry bugs better. I mean, fucking that doesn't have any connotations. You said they're also called berry bugs.
Yeah.
I wonder why nobody calls them that down there. Huh, weird.
Man, don't make me think about that.
So now Mayella testifies. She's 19 and clean by at least the Ewell family standards go, as I said. Now, according to her, she saw Tom Robinson on his way to work, offered him a nickel to come and break down a dresser for her. But when they were alone in the house, he suddenly grabs her. When Atticus cross-examines her, he doesn't get very good answers to his questions. If she was screaming for help, why didn't it alert her siblings that were just outside? Why wasn't Tom Robinson bruised or cut when he was arrested if she said he was beating and clawing at him? And most important, how did Tom Robinson beat the right side of her face if his left hand was caught in a cotton gin when he was young and is now totally useless? Mayella doesn't really answer anything. Instead, she cries and calls the jury cowards if they don't convict Tom Robinson. Atticus calls only one witness to the stand, 25-year-old Tom Robinson himself. Now, according to Tom, he often helped Mayella with chores and such on his way to and from work because she'd be outside catcalling him to come help her. Him being black in the neighborhood he's in, he's not about to turn her down, wisely. He says that on that day, Mayella told...
Hey, man, I don't want to turn her down, otherwise she'll frame me for raping and beating her. Well, that backfired.
He says that on that day, Mayella told him a door needed fixing, so he came into the house, didn't notice anything wrong with the doors, asked where all of her siblings were, and she said she sent them way out into town for ice cream. Then she says, oh yeah, I need you to grab that box down from the top of that dresser. Tom's like, okay, so he grabs a chair, stands on it to reach the box, and bam, Mayella's nose deep in his ass. Not really what the book says, they just say he hugged his legs, but where else is her head gonna go, you know? Like, she was just...
the stank of the day labor.
Anyway, he jumps down like, what the hell? And Mayella's hugging on his waist like...
Just scared as shit, like, no.
She's like, kiss me. And that's when Bob Ewell comes in and he's like, you whore, I'll kill you. And Tom just bolts the fuck out of there. The prosecution cross-examines Tom, showing that Tom does not have a clean record. Tom got into a fight with a guy who had a knife and cut Tom once. But this other guy was able to pay his fine. Tom wasn't. So Tom was charged with disorderly conduct. When asked why Tom was always helping the Ewells, he said it's because he felt bad for them. This floors the courtroom because black people are not supposed to be in any kind of position to feel sorry for white people. This pissed off the opposing lawyer, who started yelling at Tom, calling him a liar. You know, like lawyers are supposed to do.
I forgot how cartoonish this was.
Yeah, the guy was... You were talking about realism. This guy was so upset it makes Dill cry. That reminds me of... I was at a talk with Greg Rucka, the comic book writer. Fantastic writer. One of the best. And... he started getting really amped up about the state of the world, and he did that thing where he's pinching his thumb and forefinger together and kind of pointing at the crowd like that, like he's pinpricking, as he's talking about how fucked up our system is and everything. Nicole started tearing up. She felt like she was in trouble. Like, Jesus. The dude can be frightening.
No, I don't like it.
I just want to read Lazarus.
God damn.
God damn. The jury deliberates until 11 at night. Jim thinks they'll give Tom Robinson a not guilty verdict. Scout thinks it'll be guilty. Dill's asleep.
Just got a hunch here.
Though as the jury shuffles out, they find Tom Robinson guilty.
Yeah,
As Atticus leaves the courtroom, the colored balcony stands up in respect.
I remembered this totally wrong, my bad.
The next day, the black community throws an impromptu mourning party at the Finch residence, just bringing a shitload of food. Fuck, I cannot imagine just family after family bringing fucking, like, Creole and Southern food.
Can we not focus on that
fuck.
right now?
I'm sorry, I'm fat.
It just seems... Okay, yeah, you are a fat.
I'm in mourning, but I brought morning jumbo.
No. It was a lapse in judgment for you to go that direction after that part of the story, but you are fat as fuck, so...
I brought some jambalaya. Oh, fuck yeah, you did. White people show up in solidarity. The kids complain to one of the old ladies about the whole mock trial. Jem is just straight up like, man, fuck Maycomb, and is ready to join the Black Panthers. But the lady they're talking to is like, look, dude, he's seriously like, this is where he gets his fucking rebel streak from at this point in the book. He's just like, fucking Whitey, man, you know, like... But this lady they're talking to, she's just like, look, the judge chose your daddy because he's not a racist piece like the DA is. And that's about the best he could do. And the jury deliberated for a long time, and that's just about the best thing we could have asked for. Like, everyone knew he was going to be guilty. The kid's teacher is there and tells them that Atticus ran into Bob Ewell in the street, and Bob spat in his face and swore his revenge. Everyone's worried Atticus is going to get capped, except for Atticus. He tells the kids...
Who's the cap master?
Master Blaster. He tells the kids that he's already put in an appeal for Tom Robinson, but it's going to be a while as it works its way through the court system. Jem asks what'll happen if he wins the appeal. They'll let him go. What happens if he loses the appeal? They'll fry him. One day, Aunt Alexandra invites Scout to a little tea party with some of Alexandra's friends. She wants Scout to wear a dress and get some practice at being a lady, but it doesn't last long. Better out than in, I always say.
Did you just make a fucking Austin Powers joke in 2021?
It came way before Austin Powers. Are you kidding me?
Or is that Shrek? It's Mike Myers. At least that was in the same
you're right. It is Shrek. Like, now, everyone, take out your Bibles. Turn to Somebody Once.
Okay, back to a very serious racial topic. God damn it.
She wants Scout to wear a dress and get some practice at being a lady, but it doesn't last long as Atticus calls Alexander, Scout, and Calpurnia into the kitchen to tell them that Tom Robinson attempted to climb the prison fence and was shot 17 times. The town's overall reaction is like, yeah, unfortunate, but doing something irrational is just the black way, you know, I guess.
Whoa!
Yeah. Bob Ewell, however, is heard saying, 1 down, 2 to go. Which is that's never something that you want to be heard saying, ever, in any situation. Like, why would you ever say that?
I don't know, because it's, you know, back then and also fiction. I don't know, maybe
as they didn't know.
I don't know, maybe as, you know, somebody whose voice is being recorded, skim over that if you don't want that to be something heard.
As
that,
people,
you know, like,
people didn't notice, though, that he was changing the wheels on his daughter's tricycle. You know, 1 down, 2 to go.
That was out of context.
Some time passes, and Bob is good on his word. The judge for Tom Robinson's case comes home one day to see his door wide open and someone running off. Tom Robinson's wife is getting followed home by Bob each day, who just mutters threats to her. The school puts on one of those plays for the parents where the kids are food. Scout's a ham. She's like in a wire cage with brown fabric over it. The kids wait for their cue to go on stage, but Scout falls asleep and misses her entrance. The teacher's giving her closing remarks when Scout just wakes up.
How could you do that? Because this sucks. Because of a greased up wired ham.
I just listened to someone chatting about milk for 30 seconds. Of course I fell asleep. I can't wait for the day to go to a concert and it's 100 kids playing the fucking recorder. Dude. Jesus
okay, everybody
Christ.
get your vax so we can get back to Mass Recorder concert. We'll get to it one day.
At least if it's over Zoom, I can hit the fucking mute button. The teacher's...
It'll come back, everyone.
The teacher's giving her closing remarks when Scout just wakes up all of a sudden and runs out on stage like, Park! And, like, the town loves it, but backstage her teacher's just like, holy shit, are you embarrassing?
Wait, is that really part of the book?
Yeah. She just fucking runs out and just like, ham! And everyone's just like, yeah!
Like, yeah, not boring.
Teacher's just pissed. So Jem and Scout wait for everyone to leave before going outside because Scout doesn't want to get laughed at. On their way home, the kids hear some rustling in the bushes behind them. Thinking it's a classmate of theirs, they call out, but no one answers. So they keep walking. When suddenly, they hear footsteps just stomping right up to them, just thump, 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 thump. Jem yells at Scout to run, but she can't because she is a ham, and just falls down. She just falls down instead. Something starts tearing into her costume.
Oh, yeah, this bit. Yeah. All right.
I like clearly.
No. Go on. Go,
I like
stop.
you remembering clearly not the book itself, but just the movie that you
No.
Something's tearing into her costume, but Jem wrestles them back. Scout hears something crunch, and Jem screams. Then she's attacked again before the person is wrestled back once more, and the attacker falls silent. Scout crawls around on the ground. What is she, ground beef, huh? Hoping to find Jem. But instead finds the body of a man who reeks of whiskey.
You guys can't hear the look I just shot him.
They can.
No.
The microphone is such shitty quality, it picks up that slight buzz of, like, kinetic energy of just, like, fuck.
No.
So she finds a body reeking of whiskey. Scout picks herself up, runs back home to see a man carrying Jem's body into the house. She gets inside, and Aunt Alexandra calls the doctor and takes off Scout's stupid costume. Atticus calls the sheriff. The doctor inspects Jem and says he's got a broken arm and he's unconscious, but he'll live. The sheriff then tells Atticus that Bob Ewell's lying dead under a tree out there with a knife stuck in his ribs. That's what I call a Alabama birthday.
Yeah. Did you?
I can't help that I'm funny. What do you want? Like,
can't help that you have poor taste. Proceed.
You've seen the way I dress. Scout notices a pale man with torn clothes sitting in the corner of her house, looking like a ghost. Boo Radley. He and Scout sit on the porch outside while Sheriff Tate and Atticus discuss what to do. The sheriff wants to wash his hands of the whole thing and call it an accident, like Bob Ewell just got drunk and fell on his own knife or something. Atticus thinks Jem killed him and is like, I'm a lawyer. I'm not going to have the law protect my son in some under-the-table deal. He defended himself. He doesn't need your help. He's fine. The sheriff's like, dude, Jem didn't fucking kill the guy. Boo Radley did. But the sheriff doesn't want the law to get involved in Boo Radley's life again. It'd just get too messy. I mean, the guy's already got a fucking reputation.
Also, do you want to fuck with Atticus Finch? No.
Just Atticus invented sunglasses in the backwards hat. As Scout would put it, it'd be like shooting a mockingbird.
Get the fuck, go.
Sheriff Tate says, tell you what, Tom Robinson died over nothing, and now the man responsible for it is dead too. As he puts it, let the dead bury the dead. Scout walks Boo Radley back to his own house, and when he closes the door, she never sees him again. Back home, Atticus reads a story to Scout until she falls asleep. Now, probably the biggest theme in To Kill a Mockingbird has to do with good and evil. And it's not going to be more clear-cut than, fucking racism. There is a very clear, there's no moral gray ground or anything like that. Pretty black and white. There are a lot of people in this book that are introduced as shitheads. But by the end of the book, you find out that these people aren't just, again, no pun intended, black and white. Everyone is substantially morally gray. Aunt Alexandra is a good example.
I mean, except for,
besides the clear-cut racist like Bob Ewell and the people who very much aren't like
Bob Ewell and his, his daughter, right?
Yeah, Mayella.
Yeah, no, that's actually, that's the black there. And the black and white is the good and evil.
Yeah, but that's the thing is, this book was trying to before this, it's not like this is the first of its kind with dealing with racism and how it's bad, or for that matter anything that's kind of shitty, but it's before it was you had your very clear cut bad guy and everything like that, and you had your good, you had your bad guys, but this book did kind of do it really well, where there are gray characters that nobody wants to talk about. And Aunt Alexandra is a good example. She says a lot of shitty things throughout the novel, not least of which is her blatant racism. But later in the novel, you find out her sympathy towards the black community. She really does wish the best for the people, just not near her, you know?
No, actually, okay, finish, because right now I disagree.
No, and I get that. But I'll tell you, here's another character. There is a guy that he's this white guy who lives with the black community. He's got a black wife, and everyone knows him to be a louse and a drunk and everything, and he's a little bit out there, he's a bit crazy. Well, as the kids find out when the court is at recess, the guy's just drinking a fucking bottle of Coca-Cola out of a bag.
Oh, just a bottle of Coca-Cola?
It doesn't have cocaine in it.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it does, but either way, he tells the kids, like, look, everyone thinks I'm crazy for dating a black woman.
Look, come here, kids. Everyone thinks I'm crazy, but...
Take off her pants. But he's just like, his whole thing though is just like, look, everyone thinks I'm nuts for dating a black woman, and basically they're going to think me like a lower caste if I am just married to a black woman, and as a white guy I just say it's fucking fine, because it is. Instead, he pretends to be crazy and drunk, and then people just go, oh, that's why he married a black girl, because he's crazy. Because otherwise, if he was just out and about and saying like, no, I'm not crazy, I just fucking love her, it's Tiffany, I love Tiffany, they're going to constantly be accosting him for things like he's the bad guy. That's all I'm saying. Like, it's a morally gray character. There are people who their reasons are bad. They are bad reasons, but there's not a whole lot that they know that they can do. You know what I mean? Like, they're just trying to live comfortably themselves.
I just don't think that, like, I think that the scene or chapter with the lynch mob,
yeah,
that I just don't think that them going to lynch a black dude.
They're not morally gray.
No, exactly. That's what I'm fucking saying. And that's a mass, right? Like, I mean, It doesn't say in exact numbers, but it's a mass of people. And I'm assuming this is a small town, right?
Yeah, but
so it's...
I will say that is kind of reality of the situation, though, is like the most outspoken people do think that that they're the majority, the silent majority, if you will. They really think that most people are just racist and shitty and do this and that, but in reality, they're not. They're just very outspoken, and the people that have to deal with it just kind of sit by the sidelines because they don't want to get involved.
Okay, yeah, but that's the other fucking thing, is if you're sitting by the sidelines and you're not doing something about it, then you're part of that majority.
Yes, I agree.
So it's
to an extent. Yeah, for sure.
The good, evil, and gray in between thing. I mean, as far as like understanding motives and why things get fucked up, and why people would, be kind of seducted into that gray zone, which is just being a piece of shit. Like, yeah, no, I understand why they fucking suck, but they are evil pieces of shit.
Sure. Yeah. No.
Regardless.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm not going to go against that. Like, I don't like any of these people. Their reasons for shit is very bad.
Yeah, no.
But what I will say...
especially fucking opiate addict lady.
Oh,
no. Oh, I have fucking... Oh, no. Oh, did you know she was addicted to heroin? Now you feel bad for breaking her plants. No, I don't. Because they're caught. Fuck you.
Big old piece of shit.
Did you know that she was a drug addict? How does that make you feel?
Better.
Fuck you. Shouldn't have yelled at me on my way home from school every day.
There she was, just talking about my big fat ass. No, all I'm going to say, though, is, like, especially in the context of today, yeah, we know for sure now. You sit by the sidelines and fucking, yeah, dude, you're just as bad. It's what they say about, like, oh, yeah, the bad cops, it's a few bad apples. Well, the few bad apples spoil the batch. If you've got 12 good cops and you've got one bad cop out of the 13, you have 13 bad cops.
I don't like all those weird little metaphors and shit.
I get it. But
I don't like that shit. Just period. The role of God.
You
damn
can't.
It. I wish you didn't go here. I wish you didn't go here. I really wish you didn't. Look. As a role as a peacekeeper or somebody that's needed there to be able to respond to a situation when violence is called for, to be trained for doing that, yes, absolutely we need that. But every single other part of their job is not good.
I'm just using it as an example.
I know. Like, But
all that I mean, though, is in the context of today, we know not to sit by the sidelines for certain things. Like, if you sit by the sidelines while some shit is going down, you are kind of a bad person. You need to jump in and you need to do something about shit that's going down. I think that's very evident today. But this is taking place in 1933 in the South. That's all I'm saying. Sitting by the sidelines is probably just what they do. So, another large theme in this novel is growing up, or really, shifting realities. When the kids are young, they practically believe Boo Radley to be a monster. They even say early in the novel that they hear he eats cats and squirrels. But living in Alabama, he probably does. By the ending chapters, the kids mention Boo Radley's place in passing, like they don't even give a shit anymore. A big turning point for the kids is the trial itself. I mean, this is a podunk little story, and then bam, you've got Scout asking Atticus what rape is. I mean, the kids evoke real emotion about this case, and they show it afterwards, too. There's one point in a later chapter where Scout sees a bug and is about to smash it, and Jem stops her, and he's like, don't do that. What the fuck did it ever do with you? You know? Now, Harper Lee stated that this was not an autobiography. Rather, she, quote-unquote, should write truthfully about the things she knows best. Kind of like what we were saying. Yeah. Aspects of it are for sure true. But what she knew best were the people of Monroeville. Atticus was clearly inspired by her father, and although Scout's mom died when she was young, Nell's mother was around until she was 25. Thing is, Frances Harper was a complete shut-in due to her nervous disorder, and because of this, Nell never really knew her mother. She was as good as dead. Jem was modeled after Nell's real-life brother, Edwin, and as mentioned before, Scout's best friend, Dill, was based on Nell's best friend as a child, Truman Capote. Even Boo Radley was inspired by a family in a boarded-up house down the street from Nell as a kid, who kept their son locked away for 24 years until he died in 1952. So the thing is, upon its release, To Kill a Mockingbird was given mixed reviews, believe it or not. And not because of the novel's writing, either. It was essentially given the review, yeah, it's good, but why is she giving black people so much emotion? It's important to remember that Brown versus the Board of Education, the lawsuit that ended segregation in public schools, happened just 6 years prior. Essentially, one whole graduating class has passed before To Kill a Mockingbird came out. It's not like racism was just eradicated in those short 6 years, either. Still going strong today. Southern reviewers were pissed that one of their own would dare say that black people were being treated unfairly. Even though the novel took place in the 1930s, it was still pretty thinly veiled that the story could just as easily take place in 1960. Nelle Harper Lee was told by her publisher
Look, this could apply to right now, and that's fucked up, and I'm not going to think about that at all.
Nelle Harper Lee was told by her publisher to really only expect a few hundred copies to be sold, at best. Despite the reviews, the book became an instant bestseller and never left the spot. To Kill a Mockingbird is still on the bestseller list to this day. People call it the great American novel. The next year, in 1961, To Kill a Mockingbird won the Nobel Prize for Fiction. Nell was 35 years old and won the Nobel Prize for her first book. Her father, A.C. Lee, was immensely proud of his daughter, and everyone in town knew...
I'm rebuilding the house. Piece by broken fucking piece.
Everyone in town knew who Atticus was supposed to be, too. When people asked A.C. Lee to autograph their copies of To Kill a Mockingbird, he would sign them as Atticus Finch.
I'm going to pull a reverse Kyle.
I'm going to Chad this place together, brick by brick. But yeah, he would sign the fucking books Atticus Finch. And the problem that I have, though, is that's not his real signature. So you can't really go on to eBay, say that it's an Atticus Finch signed copy, and like...
I don't know, it's kind of sick, though.
Oh, for sure. But I mean, like, now, I can't go into eBay and look it up and say Atticus Finch signed copy, and then go like, oh, that's the one. And I can take a legal document from his lawyering days and put that up together. Like, he was, signing a fake name. Kind of sucks for me.
Yeah.
I don't have the fucking, I'm sure, $50,000 it would take to buy it either, though.
Yeah.
It is cool.
It's still pretty sick. Right?
Yeah.
Like,
no, he's a great dad. It's cool as shit.
Wasn't
Am I skipping ahead here? Wasn't there some controversy like years back about something with Atticus Finch and renaming it as am I going ahead?
You're going ahead, but we're gonna get there.
All right. Sorry. All right.
No, we're gonna get there.
All right.
Almost immediately, the book was picked up by Universal Studios, who themselves produced the award-winning 1962 adaptation starring Gregory Peck. Originally, they penned James Stewart for the role. It wouldn't be the same.
Who the fuck is James Stewart?
He's
let me look at him real quick.
Rear Window. Just, Mary, what are you doing to me? I couldn't imagine that noir motherfucker going in there and just fucking, no, Scout.
James who?
Stewart. James Stewart.
Stewart. Can you spell it for me, please, in my phone real quick, because I can't read?
Shut the fuck up.
No. I've been working really hard. Can you please spell it out for me?
Stewart. Stu?
That's the last name, though. Can you help me with the first name?
You motherfucker.
Okay, I've come too far. I'm flying too close to the sun here.
Wow, nice literary reference.
Fuck off. Oh, yeah, that would have been lame. All right.
Gregory Peck looks sexy as fuck in that suit, man. Like, no way James Stewart could fill that belt. No way. But just like the book itself, James Stewart was worried the movie would be too controversial for his career. That's why he dropped it. When they hired Gregory Peck, Nell helped Peck truly understand and adapt the character into what he was on film, basically coaching him to act and look just like her father. The first scene they shot for the movie with Gregory Peck on camera was the scene in the very beginning of the movie when Scout, Dill, and Jem just all run up to Atticus. How Gregory Peck looked and acted was apparently so close to A.C. Lee that Nell was off to the side just fucking weeping. She told Peck that he was so close to the real thing that he even had the little bit of chubbiness to his belly just like her dad did. He told her that's not
is that standard of chubbiness for the time? That makes me feel like shit. Because I remember the movie and that fool was lanky.
Yeah. Well, he told her that's not a pot belly. That's great acting.
Oh, man.
I am a person of weight. Gregory Peck was even able to meet A.C. Lee, which he considered a tremendous honor. Honestly, I would too. If that motherfucker had lived like a very long time, just like hundreds of years at this point, just like I would love to have met that guy. Unfortunately, A.C. Lee would only enjoy about a year of his youngest daughter's success before passing away on April 15th, 1962 at the age of 81. During this time, the Peck...
That's a solid run.
Yeah. Especially for being I'm sure, a chain smoker. He had to have been.
Especially,
yeah.
Even for now.
Yeah.
Huh.
During this time, the Peck and Lee families actually became incredibly close and even led to Gregory Peck's grandson being named Harper. When Gregory Peck went on stage to accept his Academy Award for Best Actor, he carried with him A.C. Lee's actual pocket watch, which Nell had given him. I will say, though, the two kids that played Jem and Scout in the movie fucking hated each other, which is really funny. Like, they didn't go on to do anything else, but they did do
that kind of fit?
Right. I mean, honestly, no, they got together well in the book, but they did act like a real-life brother and sister.
You just had brothers, right?
I had a brother, yeah.
You had a brother. I had two sisters. It fits.
Alright? Here's the thing. That tire rolling scene, so they rolled the tire off camera and then they shot it again where she rolled up to the fucking house,
also,
right?
her kicking little boys' asses, 100% right, because guess what? Until you turn 10, they're a foot taller than you. And they know it.
10, dude.
They're like, I got fucking 3 years till you're bigger than me and I'm living it up, you son of a bitch. Get in the tire, I'll beat the fuck out of you.
Like 10, dude. The girls are tall through like almost a high school, like middle school. It's like a land of Amazons.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. Yeah, it was through that period, but you know they're not as open about like beating the crap out of you till then. Like,
no,
elementary school, it's fucking just free game. Like,
I turned it around on them though. I learned to enjoy that shit.
With your siblings?
Oh wait.
No, with women, motherfucker. I didn't have any girl siblings.
All right.
No, they so the tire rolling scene. They push her off camera or whatever, and then the next scene they would like shoot again on like a different part of the set where it rolls towards Boo Radley's house, right? So Scouts and the tire, the kid playing Jem, fucking rolled her into an oncoming truck. Fucking kids are great.
Good.
So going back in time just a little bit here. In 1959, Truman Capote took Nell with him as a research assistant to help him investigate the Clutter family murders in Holcomb, Kansas, while she was waiting for To Kill a Mockingbird to get published. When the book was finally published in 1966 as In Cold Blood, Capote's fame went fucking supernova. Capote and Lee lived near each other in New York City, but how they responded to success was a sharp contrast. Capote all but became Audrey Hepburn from Breakfast at Tiffany's. He was a total diva, being completely jet set and lavish, while Nell was more like that racist Mickey Rooney character, just trying to keep to herself, you know? Ultimately, the two drifted apart. You ever see it? Breakfast at Tiffany's?
No, actually.
Real quick, there's a scene where she plays the acoustic guitar, and she has these long spider fingers, and I cannot not think of it. These bony fucking crypt keeper fingers. I don't like it.
Holmeston?
Audrey Hepburn.
Huh.
Yeah. Now, since the publication of To Kill a Mockingbird, the novel has been challenged in schools constantly, currently holding the number 21 spot on the list of most challenged books, beating Gossip Girl by Cicely von Ziegesar.
Challenged books? What?
But being overtaken by a children's book called King and King.
No. What the fuck is a challenged book?
Like, we want it off our shelves.
Oh.
Challenged. Okay. It's currently being overtaken. Yeah.
Huh.
Dude, are you kidding me? Banned Book Week is a huge thing where you basically make the sales skyrocket by buying up banned books, because they're banned for always stupid reasons. For instance, King and King by Stern and Yolande and Linda De Haan, about a prince looking for a princess but falls in love with another prince instead. Absolutely not. Yeah. So when it first made the list, it did have the number 2 spot, right behind Little Black Sambo by Helen Bannerman in 1968. But To Kill a Mockingbird has been challenged in classrooms since 1963. Of course, the majority of challenges have been from the South. Virginia banned the book in classrooms outright.
No fucking way.
Virginia banned the book in classrooms outright in 2016 because of racist language, failing to get the fucking point.
We don't talk about it anymore. I don't want to get guilt-tripped about it. It's done. Everything's fine now.
Dude, it is a constant
No, don't pay
thing.
attention to the fact that there's no black people in this neighborhood and they have their own neighborhood. Don't worry about it. No. Segregation is over. We fixed the fountains in the bathrooms. Don't worry about it. It's cool. That's it.
The other side of the tracks used to be a saying, but until we made it a reality.
Fuck, dude.
My favorite one was a parent in, again, Virginia, protesting that rape as a plot point was immoral. Turns out their biggest issue was with it was that Mayella Ewell was attracted to a black guy, and that would never happen.
Actually, you missed the point of what made it so fucked up, which was incest. It went right over your fucking head. Right?
I fucking love that, though. It's just like, this is bullshit. A white woman would never love a black man. Like, whoa, what?
Okay, dude. All right, God, all right, I haven't been to Alabama since I was like 9.
You made the right choice.
Yeah.
Moving on. No.
Been to Alabama since I was like 9. I don't remember what fucking town I was in. But I'm assuming it was like a bigger town or something. I was there because I was like 9, and I was into Taekwondo because I was fucking 9, right?
Yeah. I've always thought about just beating up the kids coming out of that class. Like, this'll teach you. Like,
exactly. And let's give them the benefit of the doubt that that's what was on these guys' minds.
Mm-hmm.
No, I'm just there, and it's me, it's my mom, and then it's my fucking buddy and his mom, and they're black, and the fucking looks we got shot.
For walking together as a white family and a black family?
Dude, I know this sounds fucking ridiculous. I know it sounds like it's out of just like... I know, but I swear to fucking God, like, shit was fucking tense, and then later on at night when we were out swimming in the pool, like, we did get fucking yelled at.
For swimming in the same pool, basically? Or, like, what was their point?
I know it sounds fucking outlandish, but it's like, the attention that was gotten at us, and then, like, the amount of people
giving us looks and then yelling at us while we were kicking it. Just going to a restaurant, just fucking hanging out together, just fucking playing together.
That's fucking ridiculous. I mean, of course it is. It's just plain old racism.
And honestly, I wish I wouldn't have gotten into it because like anybody who hasn't been there and been in that fucking environment is gonna think that I'm just making shit up, blowing shit out of my fucking ass. Like, no, this doesn't fucking like happen anymore. Dude.
I mean, have you seen the video of the guy that holds up a sign saying Black Lives Matter just silently in the town where KKK headquarters is in?
Dude,
that shit still exists. Like,
I remember that, and I remember like as it got fucking later, like shit got rough enough for like literally my mom to like shuffle me inside, and my buddy's mom to like shuffle him inside.
How old were you?
Like I said, like I don't know, like 9, 10-ish.
Yeah, Jesus.
Like, I don't remember where the fuck we were in Alabama. Apparently, we were in a town where they didn't do that. And none of the white trash kung fu taekwondo guys
would step in the
fat as fuck breaking boards thought to do their research on like, hey, yeah, we're in Atlanta, there's a lot of white and black people here, maybe we should figure out where that'll be good in the South before we put a tournament there for children.
Oh, you went to a tournament. What do you place?
Probably last. I don't know.
I don't doubt it. Probably because you kept trying to kick the kids in the nuts. I've known that to be.
Or I just got kicked in the nuts too many times. Who knows? You're leaving your testicles open. Kid. Please. You're actively throwing your testicles into their kicks. Stop it. Just because they have a foul doesn't mean you win, even if it's 4 times in a row. I don't know what your game is here.
This is not baseball.
Son, is this really how you want to win?
Like, he keeps winning by default. He just keeps throwing his taint out there and just fucking
They
winning.
keep just fucking kicking him in the nuts, and then, yeah, they went on foul.
When Harper Lee found out that the book was being seriously challenged and put up for review by the school county board over this, the whole thing with, a white woman would never like a black guy, she broke her silence by writing a letter to the local newspaper for a check for $10, saying she'd pay for the school county board to enroll into any first grade class of their choice.
Ooh.
It was spicy.
Wow, really? You'll pay for the whole thing?
This book is often cited as a propellant for the civil rights movement in the same way that Uncle Tom's Cabin helped kick off the Civil War. Can you imagine that? There's a book that started a motherfucking war, and it wasn't religious. Anyway, To Kill a Mockingbird got challenged in the 1970s for the opposite reason it was challenged in the 60s. The racists in the novel were now not judged harshly enough. Now the black characters weren't too three-dimensional, they were too two-dimensional. Despite all the criticisms, Harper Lee continued to win awards and honorary doctorates throughout her lifetime, all for the same book she wrote in the late 1950s. In 1966, Lyndon B. Johnson appointed Lee to the National Council of the Arts. George Bush awarded her the fucking Presidential Medal of Freedom as one of his last acts as president in late 2007 when she was 81 years old. And in 2010, Obama gave her the National Medal of Arts Award. Just the character of Atticus Finch alone was largely inspirational. In 1992, some shitty little Alabama newspaper called for the death of Atticus, saying that he worked within a system of institutionalized racism and sexism.
Alabama again. Weird. Weird.
People should not be seeing him as some sort of hero. This article blew the fuck up, and lawyers from all over the country wrote in and said Atticus is the whole reason they became lawyers in the first place. Besides all the awards she'd gotten, people just kind of assumed Nelle Harper Lee was doing pretty well. Then, out of nowhere, an Australian journalist out of, nowhere went looking for...
Out of Australia, actually.
Yeah. Well, but anyway. He went looking for Nelle in 2011. They found her forgetful, partially blind and deaf, glued to her wheelchair, not literally, and living out of the rest of her days in an assisted living facility back in the town of her birth, Monroeville, Alabama. The journalist couldn't score an interview with Nelle herself, but she did get an interview with her doctor. According to Dr. Butts...
Really? Really?
with 2 T's. It's
Dr. Butts with 2 T's.
Yeah.
That's great. What's his first name, though?
Just Richard. I go by Dick. Dick Butts.
Okay, no,
wait. I don't know. I don't know.
Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? You read through this, you found out that it was a guy whose legal name was Dr. Butts. You know, obviously after he got his doctorate, and you didn't.
That's a fair point.
You didn't do the additional research to find out what his first name was. Like, it would have been fucking. It might have been fucking hilarious, even better than Dick Butts.
It's Eaton. What's wrong with Eaton Butts? I'm sorry, Dr. Butts. You are a respected member of society.
No, say sorry to me.
Well, according to Dr. Butts, he once asked Nell why she stopped at just 1 book. She said 2 reasons. 1, I wouldn't go through the pressure and publicity I went through with To Kill a Mockingbird for any amount of money. 2nd, I've said what I wanted to say, and I won't say it again. And now for the saddest part of this whole tale.
That's pretty badass.
Yeah. Nelle Harper Lee's sister and personal lawyer, Alice Finch Lee, remember, she followed in her father's footsteps and everything, did the whole A.C. Lee and Daughters thing. She passed away November 17th, 2014 at 103 fucking years old. Not even 3 fucking months later, HarperCollins, the publishing company, no relation, announced the sequel.
Publishing company, no relation.
It's HarperCollins, Harper Lee, yeah. Announced the sequel. They announced the sequel to Kill a Mockingbird 3 months after her death. Sure was convenient that the novel thought to be lost was found so goddamn quickly after her lawyer's death. Before she passed, Alice remarked about her sister Nell, saying she was so blind and forgetful that she'd sign anything you put in front of her. Strange that the motherfucker...
I'm not following.
It is strange that the motherfucker that had Nell sign the okay to publish the so-called sequel happened to also be a junior attorney at Alice's law firm. So, where does this sequel come from? How did Harper Lee manage to write this novel so quickly? Turns out this sequel was none other than Go Set a Watchman, her first draft of To Kill a Mockingbird. If you'll remember, her original draft had the main character at 26 years old. HarperCollins Publishing just retconned this by saying, yep, it's Scout, all grown up, and just kind of treated it like a sequel.
Oh.
No, don't forget.
Yo, this is brutal.
It's fucking tragic. It's a real, I mean, that is, to me, that's fucking elder abuse. Like, her fucking name's on this piece of shit. But we're gonna get into this. Now, don't forget, To Kill a Mockingbird is one of the most famous American novels of all time. There have been entire books written about the history of it. People knew what To Kill a Mockingbird was originally called. So when HarperCollins made a thinly veiled attempt to call Go Set a Watchman a sequel, few questions got raised. There was suspicion of elder abuse concerning the publication of the novel, but the investigation didn't turn anything up. It was also hard to get a quote from Nell herself.
Legally, can you sign something after 200?
Like, I'm old. It was hard to get a quote from Nell herself on this subject, by the way. Not just because she was already kind of a recluse, but because there was now a uniformed guard at her door that allowed no one to talk to her. You can't see her.
Uniformed guard outside of whose door?
Nell Harper Lee.
No!
Yeah. So she's just kind of Prince Philipping away in there, and they're like, yeah, she's alive, don't worry about it. I'm sure she was, but it's like, Jesus Christ, like, anybody coming up and being like, you know, hey,
I have a question, and there's just, like, some strong-ass, like, bouncer at the fucking door, and they're like, no, you can't go in and ask anything, and, like, nobody was like, hey, maybe she's in trouble?
Yeah.
Nobody called the cops?
Exactly.
What the fuck?
You know, like, well, here's the thing, they had to have signed over something. Like,
okay, if you signed it over,
no. I mean,
fucked up.
I mean, like, the facility itself had to have signed over something to okay this guy to be, in front of her fucking door.
I'm not blaming the guy.
No, I'm blaming the facility.
Yeah, okay, God.
They had to have given so much money, but also who hired him, though? It had to have been HarperCollins Publishing, my thought. I mean, who else would it have been? It has to be the publishing agency.
That's where my brain is going, yes.
Or it's this understudy to her sister that got her to sign the documents. But either way, he should not be there, and the people running that facility should not have allowed him to do that.
Wait, this should happen? This
Yes.
Yeah.
And this was fairly recent. This is less than 10 years ago.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. It's very suspicious.
No, we're back in the 1800s, right?
Yeah. Now, in 1796, despite all of this, Go Set a Watchman became the most pre-ordered book since Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. So now, with unfortunately no more delay, let's discuss the heartbreaking tale of Go Set a Watchman. And this is going to be a pretty quick summary, because honestly, the book is bad. Jean Louise Finch is 26 years old on a train from her home in New York City.
Didn't even change the last name.
What?
Oh, never mind.
No, they didn't change the last name. What do you mean?
No, it just seems kind of... I don't know.
It's a sequel.
I know, but like, I don't know, like, they could have...
Jean Louise Finch is 26
just made it a
years
new
old.
thing and jacked it instead of just like immediately ripping. Like,
oh no!
What if you just? I mean, wouldn't it be a better way to rob her if you just took that and then just like made it into your own? I don't.
No, that's how people were pre-ordering it. Was saying it's a sequel to the greatest American novel, basically. You know, if you say, oh, it's a different thing, nobody gives a fuck. It's like J.K. Rowling. She went out under a different name and tried to create a name for herself as a real author. Nobody gave a fuck. Nobody cares, you know, like, who gives a shit? So Jean Louise Finch is 26 years old on a train from her home in New York City to visit her father Atticus in her hometown of Macomb, Alabama. She gets off at the train station expecting to be driven by Atticus, but is instead greeted by a junior associate from Atticus' law firm, a man named Henry Clinton, who used to be Jem's best friend before Jem had a heart attack off camera and fucking died, so he's not a part of this novel. Henry hopes for marriage, but Jean Louise just likes the idea of having a fling. After visiting with the aged, sickly Atticus and her Aunt Alexandra, Jean Louise and Henry drive out to Finch's Landing, the family homestead, which is now a country club. Henry asks in passing, whatever happened to your old childhood friend Dill? And she's like, oh, he fought in Europe in World War II and liked it over there so much he stayed. And then they see a car
This shit reads like forced DLC, and I hate it. Is it just because of your bias when you wrote it like that, or?
Only a little. It's really not good, dude. It really is a lot of off-camera shit. Hey, what happened to all these beloved characters? Fuck them. Like, and then they see a car full of black people, and Henry says something snide about black people driving. So anyway, during church with her family...
They shouldn't be. What the fuck, Henry? Don't worry about it. Like,
a Cadillac? Really? So
they shouldn't be. What the fuck? This is Alabama, bitch.
During church with her family, Jean Louise listens to a sermon. For thus hath the Lord said unto me, Go set a watchman, let him declare what he seeth. What this means is that you have to look to somebody to be a moral compass. You need a point person to drive everyone towards the light. That's what it means.
Okay.
Later on in the day, Jean Louise is all alone with Aunt Alexandra while Henry and Atticus go to a courthouse meeting. While she's just kind of tidying shit up around the house, Jean Louise finds a fucking pamphlet of Atticus's called The Black Plague. It's exactly what it sounds like.
No, it's not. It's not exactly what it sounds like. It's the worst possible fucking thing it could be, isn't it?
It's exactly what you imagine it to be. It is.
Let your imagination take you there.
The reading rainbow.
No, God damn it.
It is chock full of racist shit. Jean Louise asks Aunt Alexandra where the hell it came from, and she tells her it came from the same meeting Atticus and Henry are at right now. So Jean Louise sneaks into the courthouse up to the colored balcony where she watched the Tom Robinson trial as a kid. There, she sees all the men of Macomb, among which is Atticus, introducing a man who just gets up and makes a long-winded racist speech. Jean Louise is so literally sickened by this that she runs outside and pukes. How can this be her father? The same man that, when she was younger, got a handicapped black man acquitted from false rape charges. That's right, Go Set a Watchman was so hastily tossed to the presses that they didn't even bother changing Tom Robbins' sentencing from when he was found guilty in To Kill a Mockingbird.
If you don't want me to interrupt you here because you're getting at the same point I'm getting to, then I get it. But I mean, this is clearly not...
It was a cash job. They did not give a fuck.
This is very bluntly not written by her.
No, this is her first draft.
No.
This is the first draft.
No. There's no way it's fucking paced like this. There's no way it's the fucking subject matter. I mean, if they had that first draft and they presented it that way, are you seriously fucking saying that they didn't edit it or fuck with it in any goddamn way?
No, that's what I mean.
Like, yeah.
This is the book that she presented to Tay Hohoff, her editor.
No.
With certain pieces kind of paste and glued in there? Sure, yeah.
No. You're telling me that that's the first fucking draft, and then after it got thrown out in the fucking snow, or, all the shit they fucking went through, she came back with that, and she was like, wait, let me not be a piece of shit. Just remember, in that moment, no.
They worked on it every single day for 2 years. This is what it originally was. With, of course, now here's the thing. The thing that led to Kill a Mockingbird, though, was the flashback sequences that she had in Ghost Set of Watchmen. But they did take those parts out of Ghost Set of Watchmen because they now became part of To Kill a Mockingbird. You know what I mean? And so that's where they kind of left off with it. Like, fuck the rest of this shit. Just make it about the kids. Now, without letting on that anything is wrong, Jean Louise has dinner with her family and Henry. News comes in that their old housekeeper Calpurnia's grandson struck and killed an old white man with his car. Atticus says he'll take the case. When asked why, Atticus says that he always puts the law first, regardless of color. Besides, if they don't find a lawyer soon, then the blacks over at the NAACP will get involved, And ever since they've been in Maycomb, the black people have been so uppity. Well, Jean Louise just can't take anymore. She runs to her Uncle Jack's place and asks him how. How did Atticus end up so fucking racist? But Uncle Jack just laughs and says, look, this goes all the way back to the Civil War. And that wasn't about slavery. It was about identity.
Dude, imagine if you just walked up to anybody that was racist and you were like, dude, what the fuck? And they were like, look, man, it goes all the way back to the Civil War. And you were like, yeah, okay.
To be fair, I didn't like the outcome.
It goes all the way back, man. You're like, yeah, I know. Why?
So he says it's all about identity. And with all this civil rights shit going on, it's like they're trying to take away our identity. Like, from being racist?
Wait, is this... Okay.
Yeah, that's her uncle saying it.
Oh, yeah, alright.
The next couple of chapters are straight out of Harper Lee's life. Jean Louise confronts Atticus in much the same way that Nell probably did with her dad after her first semester of college, where basically Jean Louise says, you must treat all people equal, and Atticus defends himself saying, you gotta give rights only to those who earn it. It feels like, as a whole, Ghost Set of Watchmen would have been a Southerner's look at the two conflicting viewpoints of the time, and probably would have been a novel that's largely forgotten because of this, being topical, rather than To Kill a Mockingbird, which just comes right out and says, fuck you and your racism, which is timeless. So anyways, Jean Louise starts packing up to go back to New York City, but Uncle Jack stops her by giving her 2 fucking sledgehammer slaps across the face. He says, listen, you've been revering Atticus for being too much like a god, and you forgot to grow conscious of your own. Kind of like you made him a watchman and he shouldn't be. You should be your own. Uncle Jack then kind of goes on a tirade about race mixing before Jean Louise apologizes to Atticus and sets up a date with Henry, and the end. Like, that's what we get.
That's not...
So the book...
Who the fuck published that?
HarperCollins Publishing.
Motherfuckers!
So the book was not that well received. It's like I said, though, it was a cash grab.
They're like, hey, we got this cherished, classic right here. They're like, hang on, position it. I know it's dark, a little closer. Let me pull my pants down.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, it would have probably been fine had they released it and said, this is, like, read the first draft of To Kill a Mockingbird. Because, honestly, that would be kind of cool. But to lie to people and say it's a sequel, fuck you.
Yeah, no, especially, or even just to, like, publish somebody's first draft in general, like, that's pretty fucking rude. Right?
It is. Well, it's
extremely fucking rude.
But,
like,
legally, she said okay to it. That's the thing. We can't say that we were in that room and know for a fact that the forgetful, nearly blind, signed anything in front of her, Nelle Harper Lee, just signed a contract without knowing what it was.
No. I wasn't saying that it wasn't legal.
Yeah.
I was saying it was fucked up. A lot of shit that's illegal is fucked up.
Yeah, but nobody has said that. Nobody said that's what happened. Because according to the bodyguard at the door, he said everything was totally fine, and she was like, fuck yeah, that sounds great,
You know, when we all went up there hot as shit, and then he was just about 4 of us wide and 2 of us tall, and we went, hey, goddammit, you get her out. Okay. Oh, all right, everybody just think about this in context, all right?
Yeah, context? What was the context
We're
here?
busting her out of there. Oh, no, we're not. No, we're not. God damn
Somebody
it.
should have gone up to the bodyguard and been like, well, hey there, do you remember my son was friends with your daughter and everything, and, Mr. Cunningham? And then he just leaves. Maybe that would have worked.
Something else aside from, yeah.
He just leaves turnips at the door, like...
It's fine.
So the book was not that well received. People were quick to
I
find...
remember that. When was it published?
2014, I want to say.
Yeah, I still remember there being some kind of, like, a hubbub about it.
Yeah, there were some issues.
I remember seeing some shit like, actually, Atticus is racist, and I was like, I'm not getting in this.
Yeah. So the book was not that well received. People were quick to find entire, word-for-word paragraphs from To Kill a Mockingbird in Go Set a Watchman. Reviewers tried really, really hard to treat this as its own novel, but at this point, everyone knew it was just a first draft of a clearly superior novel. And it read like one, too. You remember Tay Hohoff, the hard-smoking battle-axe editor assigned to Nell. Well, her granddaughter was furious that HarperCollins published Go Set a Watchman.
Also a bad bitch.
Yeah, she said it was disrespectful to her grandmother's legacy to just print something that was never meant to be printed, and undermining the years of hard work Tay Hohoff put into that book. And it's true. More than anything, the one thing Go Set a Watchman gave credence to, and reviewers did point this out, it is hard evidence that shows what a great editor can do. Just 1 year later, after the publication of Go Set a Watchman on February 19th, 2016, Nelle Harper Lee passed away in her sleep at the age of 89. To this day, the courthouse built for the movie still stands as a museum to both the book and the author. My sources today: To Kill a Mockingbird by Harper Lee, first perennial edition 2002. Go Set a Watchman by Harper Lee, HarperCollins, first edition 2015. Not like that's worth anything. And Atticus Finch by Joseph Crispino, Basic Books, first edition, May 2018. Highly recommend that book. And Wikipedia. Thoughts?
All right, man. My thoughts currently are, I thought we were splitting this in half. I can't believe we got through this shit in one night.
Oh, man. It was dead center. Like, To Kill a Mockingbird was like a good chunk of it where it would have been awkward to stop it less than an hour in. It would have been awkward to have less than an hour after it,
Yeah.
We did it. I did this.
Oh, man.
How do you feel?
What do you mean? I mean, I feel like I did this. I don't understand.
You don't
what
contribute to
you're talking about.
shit. Welcome to Jordan Does Everything. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, welcome to Jordan would put a bunch of effort in, but none of it would be listenable if it wasn't for Caleb.
That's fair.
Yes, it is.
No, it
Welcome.
isn't.
50-50. There we are. But no, I mean...
Have you ever wondered why your paycheck is written in crayon?
No.
It's really weird. Checks come in lined paper now. And it's usually payable just in animal cookies.
I don't really look at my paychecks. I mean, generally, the other adults in my lives handle my finances for me, and I just kind of make the money. Everything goes into, my girlfriend's bank account, and then I get my allowance.
But dude, the junior lawyer or whatever, whoever fucking put that paper in front of Harper Lee's face, all the money is like going
Okay,
to
that
her.
shit's fucked.
Isn't that
dude.
sad?
Like, well, no. Also, just like publishing somebody's first draft of something is
hella
really
rude.
fucking.
That's so fucking bad.
Rude. There's maybe there'll be some shit we edit out of this. I don't fucking know, or maybe
Probably not.
or maybe not, or it would honestly be more reasonable if anything happens and what we have that'll we could just like explain later in a little clip. But like if any of your shit or something we record is like problematic, and then we fucking stop, delete it, and then just don't publish it, and then we look over it and we're like, okay, let's make a better product, better product from that, like fuck, man. And then somebody just like was like, oh, hey, here it is in the fucking files, let's publish it. See, they were pieces of shit. Like, that's fucking horrible. Like, that's not their final, that's not her final train of fucking thought.
No.
There. The final product is To Kill a Mockingbird.
Yeah.
It's not that shit, and that's...
It's still a fantastic fucking book. I honestly, they had us read it in 6th grade, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to reread this, and I bet it's going to be like a young adult novel or whatever. And it fucking wasn't. It was great. It's still fantastic. The that purple cover edition of To Kill a Mockingbird that everyone always fucking read from. Do you know what I'm talking about? Like, everyone always had the same edition of To Kill a Mockingbird. It had a purple cover.
I mean, I'm assuming I did too.
Yeah. So basically, though, somebody out there basically has, like, I want to say it was HarperCollins themselves, basically took a cut out of their entire, like, yearly earnings and everything, and the publishing company would just print those like hella every year, millions of copies every year.
And I mean, I know the word Mockingbird, like, you know, people who, you know, as somebody who can't read it, I just look at it as like a hieroglyph.
Uh-huh.
That's how, like, popular it is.
You don't need to pop that joke in there each time.
I'm trying to sell it, man. Maybe we can actually create some confusion.
Yeah, he's just a real illiterate fuck.
All right.
But either way, all that I'm saying though is, like, they've printed out these copies, and for a while it was just you basically write them a letter, HarperCollins, and say, I want a copy, and they would send you it because they thought it was very, very important that the word gets out. Clearly some power has changed in that company, and they're not quite adhering to the same thing. But either way, I'm hoping that everyone can move past, like, you know, there's weird shit that happens to authors after they die. Their personal letters get published and shit like that, and it's really weird. And, you know, but it's like, it's kind of like...
What should we do with these? Publish them, of course.
Yeah, it's kind of like separating the art from the artist, though. For sure, Nelle Harper Lee was an artist in herself, and her book was a piece of art. Somebody did her dirty at the end of her life, and I really hope it dies out.
No, it's not separating the art from the artist. She had that.
The company was hoping not to.
No, she had the first draft, and that's not what she published, and that's not what she finished with.
Yeah,
that's not what she wanted to present. And in between that first draft and what was presented, changes happened.
Oh yeah.
And you know, of course, in how she thought about things as well.
Yeah. For sure.
So that's not representative of who she was or who she wanted those characters to be at all. And that's not fair.
It isn't.
Like,
I mean, people were pissed about it, of course. People were out there like, why the fuck did you do that to Atticus? As people were saying, Atticus is the whole reason I got into civil rights.
God damn it, I named my kid Atticus.
Yeah. Essentially.
Yeah.
Like, it sucks, but it's true. Like, Atticus is still, to me, he's still a presentable godlike figure, but the book just basically said don't turn people into godlike figures, which is, like, sadly true, but it's like, no, dude, fuck that. He's an American folk hero.
No, none of that is, yeah.
Atticus Finch is where it's at.
Yep.
So
Chatticus Finch.
Oh, hell yeah. Building down that house.
One shot Chatticus Finch.
Just fucking 360'd that whole dog. Alright, well, we're not going to get any less into the racial tension next week.
What?
Bye.
Dude, what the fuck?